The Girls Club, 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 The Girls Club. It's my club and I'm a girl, yeah.
Hello and welcome back to the Girls Club. I'm your president, Emily, and you guys, today is a club meeting, almost that episode, unlike most, because today, contrary to popular belief, we are diving straight into the topic of discussion of today's club meeting. I know, you're gonna want to sit down for this. Take a moment, take it in. You're gonna want to sit down for this. But seriously, guys, today we have quite literally so much to dive into. I don't think I can F around. F? Girl, say fuck. Say it with your chest, bitch. I don't think I can fuck around for one minute second. All the raging people in the comments, just fucking get to it already. Girl, we're getting there. Don't worry. So today's topic of discussion, if you clicked on this thumbnail and you're here and you're not used to it, hello, I'm your club president, Emily. And today we are discussing in this week's club meeting the viral on my side of the algorithm, because apparently this isn't very viral. Messy breakup between two women, Erin Iverson and the person known as A, her ex-girlfriend. So in honor of Pride Month, I thought, let's get into lesbian drama. As a straight woman, I am always finding myself in places nobody asked for my opinion on and nobody wants me to be in. And I said, hello, I'm here. Excuse me, coming through. I'm just kidding, but I do have a lesbian BFF. So yeah, I guess that gives me the right to talk about it. I'm just kidding. I just want to talk about it because we talk about, all types of like drama and whatever in this club. We kind of just talk about whatever. And this has just been something that has been all over my FYP. So in honor of Pride Month, I thought, let's bring the lesbians into it and let's get into this messy situation. And don't worry, guys, I have notes, lots and lots and lots of notes about all of this. So it's long. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, there is this girl on TikTok. Her name is Erin Iverson. She has created what is now a 17-part series. Not over, though. I do not believe it's over. I really think that there's going to be more to come. But as of today, June 11th, we're at part 17, baby. So we'll see. But essentially what you need to know is she was in a relationship with this woman who she will refer to throughout the story time as A. She was in a relationship with A for 7 years, okay? They were not married, but this is very long-term, serious relationship that they've been in. And A cheated on her with her assistant from her job, okay? Shit's gonna get messy. There's gonna be a lot of back and forth between letters in place of people's names in order to respect their privacy. So I'll introduce you to all the characters, but that is the gist of the story, okay? We're talking a 7-year relationship seemingly upended over a cheating scandal involving A cheating on Erin with her assistant from her job, okay? Couldn't get messier than that. So let's kind of get into it. I'm going to pull my notes out. Throughout this, we are going to be cutting between Erin's video, me commenting on it. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of back and forth. That's why I want to jump straight into it because I think this is going to take a long ass fucking time. Okay. Erin really gets into the details. So there's a lot to cover. Girl can talk. And that's going to be kind of a common theme throughout this. I love it as somebody watching it, but she talks a lot. We got that in common, girl. Me and her certified yapper. So we're both talking, talk. That's why I want to get straight into it. But before, every week I put something out on the Girls Club Instagram. So if you're not following the Instagram, go follow the freaking Instagrams, thegirlsclub.pod on Instagram. Every week I put out a question. Normally we talk about this at the end of the club meeting. However, this week's question, I said, are y'all caught up on all this? And I screenshotted Erin's TikTok and no one knew what I was talking about. That's why I say I thought this was mega viral. I thought everybody knew about it. Girl, none of y'all knew what the fuck I was talking about. So if you do know, let's get into it. And if you don't, welcome to the madness, honey, because this story is long. However, if you get straight up by, you're gonna relate, okay? You will relate because this is a tale as old as time, my friend. And this is something that I feel like, not to this degree, I wouldn't say that everybody's dealt with, but I would say 99% of people, this is a statistic I'm playing out of my ass, have probably been cheated on. I hope that's not true, but it feels like it is. So I'm sure you'll relate to this in some regard. Anyways, let's get into it. So this is the 17-part series of a lesbian breakup of the century as told by a straight woman. The key players, this is who you need to know. First, we have Erin. Erin is the narrator and the person who will be telling the story, okay? She is the partner of A, who is the cheater, okay? So these are some characteristics about Erin that I have noticed throughout watching and taking notes on this whole thing. Also, by the way, this is all just, it's not for fun in terms of like, this is not a fun situation for them to be in, but I will say like this commentating on this is just for shits and giggles. So this is not meant to be mean or whatever, and I hope it doesn't come across that way. I truly found the series very entertaining, and I think Erin is also finding it entertaining based off of how she's responding to a lot of people making videos about it. She's in comment sections of videos, so all love. Okay. It's all love over here. Thank you for inviting me into your story, babe. So this is what you should know about Erin. This is what I've gathered about her throughout this series. I would say Erin, I would describe her as a type A, the house down boots type of girly, which I love. I am somebody who is situational type A, I would say. There's certain things where I am extremely type A about, okay? And then there's other things where I could not care fucking less about, where I just kind of don't have an opinion one way or another. I don't have to be in control. I don't have to whatever. I would say Erin is all around type A is how I would describe her based off of what she has told us. She is made it clear that she's like not like a traditional person. She's not wanting like the traditional life out of a relationship, meaning by her own definition, she does not want like kids. She does not want to have like the white picket fence raising children type of family dynamic. And we'll get into why this is relevant in just a bit. But yeah, she does not foresee that for her life. She's also a workaholic, I would say. She is somebody who is working a lot. Okay. She's like self-employed. She does like a lot of side gigs. She's kind of doing a lot all the time to try to like get that money up. Girl, she's trying to chase a bag, which good for you. Go for it. Amazing. She prioritizes like experience and traveling above, like I said, this like traditional stay-at-home lifestyle. Very big into traveling, very big into like hiking, seeing the world, like that's kind of her vibe. And she seems to have done a lot of therapy. This will become relevant throughout the story and you'll pick up on this. But based off of the way that she speaks, it sounds like she has either done a lot of therapy or she maybe has sought out a lot of like, I don't know, like self-help books or engaged in a lot of content that revolves around like kind of like therapy talk, because she very much speaks in a way as if she has gone to therapy a lot. You know, she uses a lot of therapy talk, I guess you would say, a lot of terminology from therapy. She does a lot of self-reflection in the way that she speaks. But she also will do this like speaking about other people. So she'll, throughout her recounting of the like span of events of this breakup, she does do a lot of like, diagnosis is a wrong word, but she will kind of like categorize people by their actions, which I think we all do to some extent, especially with like the landscape of like therapy talk as it is right now, with everybody kind of being the expert on everything. But she does that quite a bit. And I, throughout her storytelling, have felt that she kind of deems herself as like the glue of a lot of the relationships that she and A have with their friends. So throughout the story, she will like talk about how she is the one who is always putting in the effort between relationships that A has with their friends, her and Erin's friends. So I don't know. I relate a lot to Erin in the sense of feeling like you're the one who does a lot for other people all the time. I think that kind of goes back to like the type A thing, that like the feeling of wanting control without putting out that to the world. You know, it's kind of like by you doing all of these things, you do have control over it, even though you're not being the like assertive one in the relationship, or you're not being the like the quote leader of the relationship. You're doing all these like small things that make you feel like you have more control over it, and kind of like in hopes to get that energy back to you, but you don't. So like you kind of build up this resentment. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but these are like all kind of little things that I've noticed throughout this that Erin does. And I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I'm just noting stuff about her character so you have a better understanding when we get into the story. Next character we have, person. These are real people. Is A. A is Erin's girlfriend, long-term girlfriend, partner, the person that she's in a relationship with, but she is the cheater. This is what you should know about A. A has a 9-to-5 job. Okay, so A has like a traditional salaried type of employment, meaning that she is very different than Erin in the way that Erin is kind of like always chasing like the next work opportunity, because she is like the self-employed kind of like independent worker where she like has to constantly keep grinding to make more money. A definitely has a more, maybe not use the word stable, but a more consistent just baseline income because she is a salaried employee. I think she might have like a side gig that she does on the weekends, but I still think that it has to do with her main employment. It's kind of confusing with the way that the story is told because of like looking for or trying to keep up some level of like ambiguity and like privacy, which totally understand. But I think the way that I'm interpreting it is A has a like 9-to-5 salaried job, but she does additional work on the side, maybe independently, but it's like in the same industry. And I believe that this industry is like personal training, fitness kind of world. So Erin and A are both working in the same industry for A's main job, and then Erin's like one of her like little side gigs that she does. And that is like the fitness world, and that's relevant to the story. Another thing that's a bit different between Erin and A is A does want that more traditional life. Okay, she is looking for the house, the kids, the white picket fence, the wife. Like that is like what she has expressed to Erin is like what she's looking for in a relationship. And a little important note that's like really not relevant until way later in the story, but I think it helps if you know this up front, because it kind of helps, I won't say give you a better understanding of the whole situation, but I think it does help kind of tell the story a little bit better, which was kind of left out at the beginning, which is A has been married before, okay? And that will be important later in the story. But A has been married before, Erin has not. And yeah, that's kind of the differences between the two of them. Then we have K, okay? K is the woman who A cheated on Erin with, okay? K, something you should know about her is K works with A and is her subordinate. So K is A's subordinate. The term assistant was used throughout the telling of this, so I don't know really what that means in the context of their jobs, but yeah, it seems as if K is A's assistant. And another important part about K is that she has recently ended a relationship with her girlfriend. So Kay is recently single. A is in a long-term relationship with Erin. I know. It's a lot. Okay. Now that we have kind of the baseline established, let's get into part 1 of this 17 part Jesus Christ. Lesbian breakup saga. Also, quick to mention, in the span of posting this video series, Erin has now gained, like, I think when I first saw this come up, she had literally like a couple thousand followers on TikTok. She now has over 74,000 followers on TikTok. So I think that is a big motivational element to her continue to post, which, as you should, like, do what you got to do to get those followers. But I will say that, like, this has significantly picked up steam the more and more that she posts it. So I think the way that I want to tell these first couple parts is I will kind of give you the breakdown of it, and then I will bring Erin up to tell the story once we start introducing screenshots. So by the time we get to part 3, we're gonna just start watching mostly the video, but at the beginning I feel like I'm gonna tee it up. So Erin, I appreciate you, but I'll bring you in when I pass the baton. Also, I'm getting comfy because, like I said, it's gonna take forever. So part 1 through 3 is really setting the stage for what will become a very tumultuous back and forth argument / breakup, makeup, whatever session that will seemingly go on for a few days, weeks. I don't know. The timeline is a bit confusing, but I believe it's kind of like pretty quick, this entire thing. So part 1, Erin goes to Florida for work. Okay. She's gone for 10 days. A big part of her work is she is traveling all the time. She said that, this isn't like irregular for her to be gone for like a couple of weeks for a job. Okay. She's texting, quote, normal with A. And then she says that they don't text a lot. But one thing that I've noticed with this whole series is this is just a relationship that is very different than any relationship that I've ever been in, because I am somebody who like hates texting. I hate constantly talking to people. I literally don't care enough to do that. Also, I think my ADHD is just like bad to where it's like, I don't like when I'm not around somebody, like I love you, but I'm like not constantly thinking about you because of like object permanence issues that I have. So like, I'm just like, texting is not a love language for me. Never has been, never will be. That's just the way that I am. So when she says that they don't text a lot and then explains the way that they text, I'm a bit confused because to me, it seems like they're texting a lot, like communicating a lot. But I think to maybe a person who does text by definition, like quote, a lot, it probably isn't as much, but to me, I don't like to over communicate when I'm in relationships, but it seems like this is a couple that very much communication and constantly checking in with one another is like very important to them. So to each their own. Talking a lot is going to become like a very big theme in this. So they don't text a lot, but then she explains how frequently they communicate. And in my opinion, it seems like a lot. LOL. That's what I said. Then Erin gets home around 12 a.m. on Saturday, and A picks her up. Erin has meal prep business on Sunday, and it's a work day for Erin. And then A that day has plans with K, remember the assistant, on Sunday to go apartment shopping. Like I mentioned earlier, K and her girlfriend have recently split. So K is looking for a new apartment. A said, hey, K, we're friends. We work together. I'll go apartment shopping with you. A normal, friendly thing to do with your friend. Not weird right now. Okay. Seems very normal. So Erin is doing her meal prep thing. She finishes earlier than she expected to finish. Okay. So she texts A and is like, hey, I'm done. Mind you, they haven't seen each other in like 10 days besides last night where A picked her up from the airport. So it's been a hot sec since they have like really been around each other, been able to spend time with each other. So Erin texts A and they're like, hey, I'm done with my meal prep. Kind of like just letting you know I'm just at the house type shit. A and K finish apartment shopping or hunting, and then they decide we're going to go get resort pass at this local hotel and like hang out by the pool and have a girl stay at the pool, which I'm kind of like, girl, what the fuck? That's kind of, not that it's weird because like you do that type of shit with your girlfriends. Like that's just like something that you do. Like you go apartment shopping, you go do this, that, and the third. But the important like context of this is like Erin has been gone for 10 days. She has not seen A in 10 days besides a brief moment last night when they drove home from the airport. And so Erin's kind of like, okay, have fun, but also like, girl, I've been gone for 10 days and like you don't even care to like hang out with me type shit. Again, they've been together for 7 years, so maybe it's kind of like, I've seen you for 7 years, you know? But I don't think that's how Erin was feeling. I think Erin was kind of like a bit upset that she decided that instead of coming home after the apartment hunting, she went to go, you know, do the little pool day, whatever. Erin ends up going to bed without A. Okay. That's how long her and Kay are like at the pool hanging out. Erin is like a very early to bed, early to rise type girly. So she's like, girl, I'm tired as fuck. Like, I'm just going to go to bed. Like, I don't care. And she said, however, this is like the first time anything remotely close to that, that's her exact words, had ever happened. Meaning like Erin going to bed without A, like at the very least, like checking in and, you know, coming home on time. Another big important factor of this whole situation is Erin and A never fight. Okay. They have had one argument before in the span of 7 years. And so they're not a couple who's like up and down, up and down, up and down. According to Erin, they are always perfect. Okay. They never have arguments. They never do anything besides one other time. So this is kind of a bit weird, but also like not enough to like push her over the edge to like start something. So the next week is normal. Erin gets a chocolate peanut butter brownie. Okay, this is very important. She goes to the store and she says, I'm going to get a chocolate peanut butter brownie because I want to have a special date night with my lady. And I think what better way to kick this off than a fucking awesome chocolate peanut butter brownie. Okay. She gets this chocolate peanut butter brownie and she plans a date night. They're going to bike to this like Michelin star restaurant. Then they're going to hire a company to come pick the bikes up and take them home. And then they're going to come home and like, I don't know. It was like this whole like extravagant night that Erin had planned. The big problem was A did not give a fuck about the chocolate peanut butter brownie, okay? She didn't care. She was like, I don't care, whatever. And then Erin is like, girl, I got you the chocolate peanut butter brownie. Like, you should try it. I bet it's really delicious. Like, she's like sitting there like a dog with a bone, like drooling over the chocolate peanut butter brownie, but she wants A to try it first because she got it for A, you know, type shit. It's like, if I got you my favorite meal and you're like, I don't want it, I'm kind of like, no, you should eat that because it's like the greatest thing I've ever gotten. And then you're like, nah, I don't want it. I'm like, now I'm pissed off, right? Because I'm like, I went on my way to get you the chocolate peanut butter brownie. You don't even fucking want it. What the fuck? So yeah, back again, 7 years, only one disagreement. And this was 3 to 4 years ago. What was the disagreement about? Well, back to the original characteristics of each person. A wants a child. A wants to get married. Erin does not want a kid, but she's open to the idea of marriage and, you know, wants to get married at some point. And so that was the fight that they had 3 to 4 years ago. However, after it kind of just got dropped and never brought up again, according to Erin. They just kind of, quote, moved on. And she had assumed that, like, you know, this wasn't something that really mattered to A as much anymore because it hadn't gotten brought up for 3 to 4 years. Okay, as you would assume. And then A brings up, after Erin's like, girl, eat this damn chocolate peanut butter brownie. A's like, I haven't been living in my values. She gets emo and she shuts down. She's crying. She's not talking. And Erin explains how this is something that A frequently does. When she can't like handle something, she'll just like break down and cry and like not be able to talk about it. So then Erin's sitting there like, girl, what's wrong? Like fuck the brownie. Like the brownie doesn't matter. Like what's going on? Erin thinks that this is about marriage and she's like, let's go get married tomorrow. Like I don't even care. Like let's just get married tomorrow. Like I just want to make you happy. Like let's do this. Then she goes into the story about how she planned to propose a few years ago with this like whole elaborate thing in Tanzania. So back to the whole thing is like Erin is this very like adventurous van life girl who like I think she has a lot of big ideas, but some like a common thing that I've been noticing through the way that she tells these stories is like she has a lot of these like really big elaborate plans, but they don't really happen. So this is kind of like one of those things where she like has this huge like idea of like what she would want this like ideal proposal to look like, but then like didn't do it. So in Erin's mind, like maybe someday she will do it. So she's like, I don't know. I think she's like seeing all of that in the future, but because her and A haven't really talked about that, it's like maybe there's some level, even though they do communicate a lot, maybe there is some level of like miscommunication there. So Erin says like, even though she hasn't ever proposed, she still like refers to Kay as her wife to everybody. She calls her wife. She doesn't like the term girlfriend because she like thinks it is kind of like immature. And she says, what did she say? She doesn't like partner. She goes, in direct quote, partner, I'm not saying that. And then she kind of like rolled her eyes a little bit, which like whatever, you know, like do you, whatever. I think partner is a very normal thing. I would say like most people who are in their like late 20s, early 30s in a relationship with somebody who's been long term, it's more serious than a boyfriend and girlfriend, but they're not married yet. Like I feel like that's very normal to call somebody your partner. And it's like something that especially like in the queer community is very like normalized phrase. So that was a little weird when she was like, I'm not saying that. It's kind of like, why? But whatever, you know, teach their own. Then she's like, as A is like breaking down, she decides I'm going to tell her what I planned to do. So hopefully like that will make her feel better. So she was like, I want to propose at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. And then she's like, I didn't want to tell her that, but like I felt like I needed to just show her like how serious I was, which did kind of remind me of like a lot of relationships I had been in when like the guy would be like, well, I was gonna like do this big trip and I had all these plans, and it's like, but did you do it? Did you book it? And it's like, no. So I'm like not hating on Erin, but like I would say like that was like one thing where I was like, that's kind of like throwing it in somebody's face to be like, I was gonna do all this, and then it's like, but you didn't do it. So it's kind of like, why are you even saying it? I don't know, but you know, whatever. So she's like, let's just get married tomorrow. But the kids, girl, we need to talk about the kids. Like, I don't know, like if I'm quite ready for kids. She's like, because a big part of all of this is like I said, A wants kids, Erin doesn't want kids, but Erin's like willing to compromise. Like this is another thing where I'm kind of like, I get it. Like when you're so in deep with somebody, you're so in love with somebody, you feel like you can like change what you envision for yourself. But I also would say like the right person wouldn't make you do that, you know? So like that's another thing where I'm kind of like, this just kind of seeming like you guys aren't perfect for each other, which is fine. That's why you break up, you know? Hello. That's like the whole point of dating, is so you find who you do work great with, or maybe you never do, and that's fine too. But a big part of it is like this kids thing. And then all of a sudden Erin's like, you know, maybe we could compromise or whatever, or like fostering, adopting. But the big issue is A doesn't want to do that. A wants biological kids. It's like a big thing. She wants biological kids, but Erin was like, I'm not carrying kids. I'm not getting pregnant or not, whatever, which, girl, I feel you. I never want to be pregnant either. So it's like, girl, I feel you. And then Erin says, if they do have kids, she has a couple of rules. First rule is she wants to do a van life. She wants to raise her kids in the van life, which I'm kind of like, okay. And then she's like, no public school. And then I'm kind of like, okay. And then she's like, and we're not going to be in America. We're going to go to a different country, which I get it. America, we have a problem. Like America's fucked. I get that. I totally get that. But then it was like the van life and like the no public school thing. I was kind of like, but that's not what this is about, you know? That's not what this is about. I just that was like the first kind of thing where I was like, in this whole situation, it's really not that relevant, but I will say that was something for me. I was kind of like, interesting. Okay, that's the end of part 1. Part 2. After Erin says all this, A is a bit shocked. Okay, A is like a bit shocked / confused because the last conversation they had, mind you, 3 to 4 years ago, it's been a minute. She had totally different opinions on all this, meaning Erin. So I think A in this moment is a bit shocked because she's like, wait, girl, I thought you never wanted kids. I thought like marriage wasn't that big of a deal. Like, wow, I'm kind of confused on like how easily in A's mind, Erin just like bent to the idea of all this stuff, you know? So the first thing that told me, just like kind of already knowing how the story ends, because how Erin starts the series is like, this is a story about how my ex left me for the girl she cheated on me with. So you like already know the ending, you know? So to me, that was kind of giving like, anytime that you've ever like dated a cheater or whatever, they always will like make themselves the issue. And be like, you're perfect. This isn't your fault. Like, I just am so fucked up and like all this stuff. And like, you could never be with me. Cause I'm like, cause they want you to break up with them, basically. They like want you to say that they're the problem so that like they don't have to be the bad guy again, you know, more or less. So I think A is kind of like, wait, you still want to stay with me? I thought you didn't want kids. Like, I think in that moment, A was kind of like, okay, so my plan to push you away didn't really work. You're still here. Damn it. Like, that was like how I interpreted that situation. But whatever. Another theme that is very frequent throughout this, which I think is very relatable, but specifically, I think in a lot of the stories that I have heard from friends who have been in lesbian relationships is like, there's just this deeper level of intimacy inherently between two women than there would be in a like straight relationship, because it's like women, I mean, you know this, like if you're even just like a straight woman and you have friends who are women, like, you know, like how much more deep your relationships are with your friends than like your boyfriend's is with his friends. Like, you just know, like there's like a level of intimacy that's just like deeper with women because we connect on so much. We have so much more empathy. We've been conditioned a lot differently than boys have in terms of relationships. So like, especially I would say in like lesbian relationships, there is, you know, and I think that's why there's like oh my God, my light's falling. My God, sorry y'all. I was talking about lesbians and my light fell over. I think it was like the universe being like, girl, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying in terms of like relationships between women, we know how much more intimate those are than relationships between men, friendship wise. So imagine like dating a woman, you know, being in love with a woman. Like there's just going to be this like level of connection that's just inherently deeper because you guys understand each other as the experiences that you've had. So a big theme in this breakup specifically is this immense level of intimacy throughout all of this, even as they're going through these like big, not arguments, but maybe like conversations, having these like hard, difficult conversations. There's still like such a deep level of like intimacy around all of it, which is just something I've never experienced in a breakup. I mean, if I have, it's not at this level. It's very much like you kind of like kiss, make up, have sex, but it's like not that deep because it's like still with a straight man who's like it's just not the same, you know? So I don't understand this from a level of I've had experience of it, but I do understand from a concept of like how much more emotionally and intimately kind of intertwined you are with each other, because this is, I mean, it's very similar as like friendships with women. It's like, it's so hard to just like cut somebody off when they wrong you, because like as a woman you like deeply empathize with them and like you want to give them like chances to like build and to grow, because I feel like at our core we do want to see like women succeed and we do wish the best for them. So yeah, a very common theme throughout this like inevitable end is this like reconciliation, this like attempt to like mend things, and also being like fairly intimate throughout all of it, like with even just like kissing and touching and just, yeah, it's kind of messy. That's what I guess that's what I would say. They're crying, they're kissing, they're cuddling on the couch, and Erin explains, it's like, we're kissing, we're crying, we're kissing, we're cuddling. It's like a lot. Then Erin is crying because she thinks she's mourning like this life that she thought for herself, i.e. like the life without kids. She thought that like 3-4 years ago they had this conversation, they kind of moved on. Okay. Because even though they're communicating a lot, they weren't talking about this anymore. Like they had kind of moved on from it. So she assumed like, okay, whatever, we're just going to continue our lives without kids. So now she's kind of like mourning that idea, because now she thinks like this whole time, all of this like weirdness is because A wants kids. So now she's, you know, thinking like, okay, well, at least we figured this out. We can move on from it, but I still need to kind of grieve that life that I had envisioned for myself. Because she's like willing, because she like deeply loves this person, to like, hey, we'll compromise. Even though in my mind, personally, out of my personal opinion that nobody asked for, I don't think kids are something you should compromise over. I think if you don't want kids, don't have kids. Because as somebody who has been around people who have had kids out of a compromise, and who has friends who have been children who have been birthed from that compromise, shit gets fucked up. The kids get fucked up. The relationship between the parents gets fucked up. Like there's animosity always going to be held there. So like, I just don't believe a child should be a sacrifice. Maybe a dog, maybe a cat, maybe a goldfish, but a human being, you should never, ever. This is just like advice as somebody who does not want to bring a child into this world. If I'm with somebody and they are initially like on the same line as me of that, great. If they end up deciding that they want a child and I still do not, we just have to go our separate ways, because it's not fair on either end, you know, because one person is going to be compromising, and then there's always that thing in the back of your mind that's like, what would my life be if I didn't do this? And you will, even if you think that you won't, you will fuck that kid up as a result. It just is inevitable. So yeah, she tells A about the like big proposal, whatever, that she planned to do. You know, it's kind of irrelevant, but she felt the need to tell her that. But she didn't feel like this was a breakup conversation. And remember the big date night that she had planned? They don't do it. They're both like, we're too tired. We talked for fucking forever. We just need to go to sleep. So they get ready for bed. I guess A is the person who takes care of Erin. She gets her mouth tape. She gets her Nod Pod. She gets her whatever and gets her ready for bed. Okay. So Erin thinks like, we're good to go. A does not come to bed. Jesus Christ. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, fucking alphabet soup over here. A does not come to bed. Erin goes to bed because she has personal training and like her meal prep thing tomorrow. And A has personal training in the morning. So mind you, the gym, key part of all of this. So they go to sleep. The next day happens, okay, and they go their separate ways. Erin does her nannying, personal training, meal prep thing. A does her like gym thing. And they get back to the house at like 2 p.m. They both like meet back up at the house at 2 p.m. after they're done with all their thing. And Erin is like, I know A's schedule. Okay, I've lived with this bitch for 7 years. I know her fucking schedule. I know everything about her. I know when she shits. I know when she sneezes. I know when she's gonna cough. Like, I know it all. And one thing that she doesn't do is shower in the middle of the day. We've all been here, baby. We've all been here. If you've ever dated somebody who's fucked you over, you know they start doing shit that they don't ever do. You're like, since when did you floss your teeth like that? Since when did you style your hair like that? Like, since when? It's like things you pick up on it because you're not stupid, you just do. Especially as women. It's like, what are you doing? That intuition. And one thing that Erin knows is like, A's not taking a shower in the middle of the day. But for some reason, A's taking a shower. So Erin's like, this is weird. And she gets sus and gets a fucking attitude. As like you would if you're like, what the fuck's going on? Especially after you've just had this like fucking exhausting conversation the last 2 days or whatever. Erin asked A, like, why are you showering? And A's getting ready to go to the beach, okay, with coworkers. She's going to the beach. Let's go get away. And what they gonna say? Cancel Nicki Minaj. And Erin's like, oh. And A's like, you're mad? Question mark. And Erin's like, fuck yeah, I'm mad. Because she's been gone. And last night they had this deep convo and she like doesn't know where they stand in the moment. Like I said, Erin really values communication. She is a talker. This girl could talk in circles for forever. So she's like, we had this deep ass conversation, we had this longest conversation. We need to talk more about it. And now you're going to like go do this thing with your coworkers. And I've been gone for 10 days and we've had 2 long ass fucking conversations about the same kind of shit. Or 1 long ass conversation about the same kind of shit. And like, we need to keep talking about this. And cause she like doesn't know where they stand. And so A is like, well, I have to go to the beach. It's like a prior thing that I like agreed to go to. And I'm like the DD. So like I have to go. Erin's like, well, I need to talk. We need to talk more. Then I say a big theme in this story is talking. Lots of talking. So they have the same conversation as last night is how she explains it. She's just like, we keep like going circles around this conversation about marriage and kids. And A is like, I feel like you're throwing a Hail Mary to save this relationship. Okay. So now we're talking about breaking up, which before Erin was like, I didn't feel like this was a break conversation. And then Erin's like, I don't feel like I was given an option. More crying, more talking. A ends the conversation early because she's like, hey, I gotta go to that damn beach. She's like, I'm the driver. And Erin's like, well, I have to go house sitting / cat sitting. Like I said, she's always doing these side gigs. She's always doing some fucking job. Okay. But she says that she'll wait for A to get home before she goes to her like cat sitting thing. Okay. And she assumed that she would get it home at like 8:00 that night. Then she's like, we didn't text a lot, but then they still text. So I'm like, I don't get their dynamic. I don't get what not texting means, but then you're still texting. So whatever. So then this is where Erin brings up the screenshots. Okay. So now that we have the beginnings of this story, let's get into Erin telling us the rest because I'm tired of talking. Let's hear it straight from the something's mouth. The fish's mouth. That's not it.
Part 3 of my series where my partner blindsided me, cheated on me, and locked me for her assistant at work. Yes. So at this point, she is at the beach with her coworkers. The coworker in which her assistant she cheated on me with, we're gonna call her Kay. So she is there. It is now 10:30 at night. And she texted me that they are packing up the beach and everyone is wasted. And it started raining. I said, I cast a spell, did a rain dance. She goes, I'm sure you did. So I call her and she's still there. It's like 11:30 now. And she's like, my car got locked inside Mission Bay. And I'm like, I'm frustrated and very clearly frustrated because if you've ever been to Mission Bay in San Diego, you know, there are signs everywhere that parking closes from 10 to like 4 or 6 a.m. or something of the sort. So I'm just swallowing my words. And she says that they parked, Ubered, went to a spot, get back to her car, car's locked. So then she tells me she's going to Uber to Kay's house. She's going to take Kay's car to our house, and she's going to drive Kay's car to her personal training clients in the morning. Flags are going off for me at this point in my head. And I'm just like, I don't give my car to my friends. Like, it just felt...
Yeah, I will say the car thing is kind of insane because, like, you got me fucked up. I don't even really let my friends drive my car because aside from it just being, like, you know, kind of like a weirdly... I wouldn't say intimate's the right word, but it's like you got to be close to someone and let them drive your car. But like, it's a liability, girl. That shit, like if they get in a wreck in your car and they don't have their name in it or whatever, like that is a whole mess of a situation. Like insurance gets involved. Like it's just bad and messy. So like, I'm not letting people drive my car. Because I don't want to be responsible if something goes wrong and I don't want to get screwed over if they like fuck my car up. So yeah, absolutely not. Like that's weird as hell to let somebody who's like your coworker drive your, like, no, never. Never, babe.
Weird. It all was weird. So around midnight, I text her and I said, I think you make interesting choices as of late. I'm not sure if this is a cry for help, but your actions are pretty disappointing. The words you say to me don't match your actions and my intuition has never led me astray. She responds, my intuitions are not to disappoint you. May I ask what you are referring to regarding my actions not matching my words? I said, your circle reflects you. Just remember, you are a compilation of the 5 people you surround yourself closest with. I told you I was going to wait up at home for you. You said you would keep me posted. That did not happen. So I made my way down to San Diego to care for the cats. It was house sitting. It's fine. I just think you make interesting choices. I cry my heart out to you and say, let's table it so that you can go get trashed on a beach with your friends. Who in that circle are you wanting to be like? Joe, our dog, is sick. I took him potty and it was like he hadn't peed all day. He was crying nonstop, not sure if he had any of his meds before you left. Our friend fed him. She responds, I understand what you are saying. I am not here to disagree or argue your points. The timing wasn't great for my hangout with my friends for sure. I hope it's okay for me to text this, but since we're already talking, I've gotten to a point where I feel pretty alone even when you are here. I don't feel a ton of togetherness, so in my mind, you have a busy schedule on the weekend, and I want to go do things. I have a huge role in the lack of togetherness, so I don't want you to feel like I'm blaming anything on you. And you may feel we have a ton of togetherness. I am home, by the way, well after midnight. I said, I've only felt the lack of togetherness since I got home from Pensacola, which is why I was really making an effort to plan a date just the 2 of us yesterday. But there's a common denominator in who you've chosen to spend your time with. I don't ask permission, and I don't expect you to either. But it's common courtesy for you to tell me of your plans, and you didn't do that until you were walking out the door this week or last. Mind you, she went with Kay to the hotel resort pool the weekend prior, and now this week she's walking out the door going with Kay and 2 other coworkers to the beach. Felt weird. Then I said, I felt really alone last Sunday when I went to sleep by myself after having been gone for 3 weeks. My meal prep only took me 3 hours. That was a choice that you made, and it felt not so great, but that's the first time anything like that had happened, so I let it go, but it doesn't make it hurt less. Mind you, this is probably the first actual argument we've ever had in our entire relationship. She said, I do not mean to hurt you, and I'm sorry for the decisions that I have made that left you feeling upset. I think a lot has been on my mind, and I've been trying to process and understand so that I can talk to you about it, but I've kind of emotionally shut down. Thank you for your note. I wrote her a note and put it on the bathroom mirror saying, I love you always, before I knew she wasn't going to get home until almost 1 o'clock in the morning. And then she responds to the note and says, I love you too. I respond to her. I say, by shutting out the one person who is in this relationship with you. I know people process differently, but while I feel sick and have cried so hard my teeth hurt, you go out with your disorderly friends who you have shallow connections with. Lean on someone like our friend who knows you and knows us. She said, the hard part for me is that I do not want our friend involved in how I'm feeling when it has anything to do with us. In my eyes, it's not fair. I never share anything with her, but I know that you do. I have my friend who lives in Texas who I talk things through with, but she isn't here. Fine. It goes on, and she says, or I respond, I don't think it's fair for you to pour into people who don't actually know you either. It's shitty. And when we're going through something, I feel like we should be even more united and locked in with one another to weather the storm. I have an endless amount of love in my heart, but I also have strict boundaries. And once they have been crossed, it is really hard for me to ever feel safe again. And I'm just telling you that at this juncture, my boundaries are being tested and I'm at my limits. I'm feeling disrespected and used. She said, I'm hearing you and I understand. I'm sorry that my actions have led you to feeling disrespected and used. Again, that is never my intention. I respond with, it sounds like your response was manufactured out of ChatGPT. She said, no, I'm just trying to be logical and not argumentative in the slightest because I do hear what you are saying and I understand why you are feeling the way that you are.
Okay, quick interjection. This is kind of that like, I get it. I have been in the situation, not this situation, but like in a situation where you feel like you have to just tell everything to the person because you just need them to understand like your perspective and whatever. This is what I would say to anybody who is in a situation where they're like, I just need this person to know. I just need this. It's like, no, you don't. You don't, because the best thing that you could do for your own fucking sanity and honestly to get the point across to this other person that like you were hurt, you were whatever, is just to end it in the conversation for the night. Let it go. Not in a point of like you get there off the hook and whatever, but like let them sit in their own shit. Let them smell it. Let them huff it. Let them theory. No, but truly like you like going on and on and on and on about how they made you feel this way and how they've crossed your boundaries and how they've done this and they've done that, and then they like respond to it like quote apologizing, which is like kind of what's happening here, but then they're like interjecting with like how they're feeling. It's like it's not productive. Like you're never gonna get the answer that you're wanting, because the answer that you're wanting is for them to be like, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again, blah, 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 blah. But that's never going to be good enough, because like what you actually want is for them to just like upend everything and like come to you and like bow down and whatever, which is like what we all intrinsically want when somebody does us wrong. Like even if we don't think that we want that, we do. We really want them to just come and just like really admit to all that they did wrong and be sorry and whatever. But that's never going to happen, because the other person who fucked you over is an asshole. Okay, they're never going to just like come back and just upend everything that they've done and just be like, I fucked up. I'm the stupidest person ever. I'm the worst. I'm blah, blah, blah. They're just not, because they're a selfish asshole in the first place. Okay, so the best thing that you can do for your own sanity, for everything, and to like low-key hurt them, which you shouldn't go into things like wanting to hurt other people, but it's kind of like what you do in a breakup. Just let it go. Elsa style, okay? Just move on, let it go. I know this is like easy to say when you're not in it, but I will say it's like this back and forth of like over communication. I did this when I was younger, so I totally understand, but outside looking in, not very productive for any for anything, you know? Because like also when somebody crosses a boundary and like fucks you to the point of like cheating on you, like you can't come back from that. And I know people will go and they'll quote make it work and they'll whatever. There is always going to be this underlying trust issue that is going to exist, point blank period. That's just how it is, you know? Because intuitively we know, okay, this person did this thing to us. No matter how many times that they like say they're sorry, no matter how many ways that they prove that they'll never do it again, you still are never going to fully believe that because they lied to you in the first place, you know? So that's what's hard about all this. It's like breakups, a lot of people just like want to quote make it work, but a lot of the times it's like, especially in cheating situations, like it's just not going to work out, unfortunately. Because the person didn't care enough about you in the first place. Like, and that's it sucks, but that's like the truth.
I then respond with, I am frustrated. I think I'm feeling emotionally exhausted. I'm really angry with you, and I don't think that is an emotion I've ever felt towards you. I've never felt even a remote ounce of anger towards this woman in my entire life, so that's why I'm having a hard time processing this feeling, but I digress. Back to the message. I said, I'm angry that you bottle things up until they explode. I'm angry that you act as though you are afraid of talking to me when I've never given you any reason to fear me. I do my best to show up as the softest version of myself for you, and that's not a version of me anyone has ever gotten to experience before. I'm angry at who you surround yourself with when I see you as being so much better than them. I'm angry that you say you want one thing, children, and I compare it to the dog, and still tonight you show me in my face that you going out is more important than caring for him. I don't want to feed him. I don't want to walk him. I don't want to get his back records. I don't want to take him to the park and play fetch because I am tired, and I didn't want the responsibility, but I do it. I do it because I do love him despite not ever wanting that responsibility for myself.
Okay, that right there is like, I totally get that because I am the type of person, and I have literally talked to a therapist about this, about like, I will just take the shit. I will just do it because I'm like, if nobody's going to do it, then I have to do it, you know? If nobody's going to clean, then I have to clean. If nobody's going to do the dishes, then I have to do the dishes. But then it's like things like that where I kind of created that environment because like I was willing to put up with that. And that's kind of similar to like what I was saying earlier about like the bending the knee to the kids thing, being like, I'll do it even though I don't want to do it. It's like she's saying the same thing about this dog where she's like, I didn't want this dog because I knew it was going to be too much. You made me get the dog. Now I am the one responsible for the dog because you're not responsible. And she is having animosity about it, which like is an emotion she is rightfully should have. Like that would piss me off too. But kind of back to what I was saying, it's like you shouldn't compromise on these things that you don't want, because now this animosity has built up, this like anger, and like she knew it was going to happen. Logically, she knew, like she had expressed, like, I knew, you know, if we got this dog, I would be the one taking care of it because I know you're not the type of person to do so. Even though you think you want it, like you won't do it. She's the responsible one. And I feel that because I'm the same way. But as I've gotten older, I've had to realize like, the only way I can control not having to be the fucking mom of everything is to not just accept that role, even though I don't want it. You have to get good at saying no. It sucks, but like, not saying that you should never compromise, because I think there's definitely times where you should, because like there's growing opportunity, whatever. But when it comes to caring for a living being, don't compromise. If you don't want that, don't compromise for it. You know better, especially if you're dating somebody who's kind of a bum, who like doesn't do anything, who doesn't like even take care of themselves. You know that they're not going to be fucking changing a fucking diaper. You know that they're not going to be, if they're not going out of their way to like do shit for you and for the other people in their life, you know that they're not going to be the one feeding it, changing the diaper, or even just a dog. You know that they're not gonna be the one taking it for a walk. You know that they're not gonna be the one worrying about the vet, keep grooming it, whatever. That would just be my overall advice, is like, don't compromise when it comes to taking care of a living, breathing thing. Literally, get a pet rock. If they won't take care of the pet rock, girl, they're not taking care of a dog, they're not taking care of a baby. Don't compromise ever for that. That is my biggest takeaway of this whole thing, because this is what happens. Animosity builds, whatever. And not saying that like the cheating part, totally remove that. I'm just saying like this animosity that she's feeling about just solely this dog situation is directly because she knew, you know, according to her intuition, that like this girl, A, was not going to like do the 50-50 that is necessary to take care of this being. So like she knows intrusively that like A would be a bad parent. She knows it. And that's why she didn't want to have kids with her. But now she's like, oh, maybe we can, like, you know, to save the relationship. But like, yeah, outside looking in, don't compromise on that.
I say my love language is acts of service, but I feel fucking enslaved to my house chores sometimes. I feel like I don't get help, and that's where all of this burning disdain for never wanting children has come from. Not from you, but from birth. I have been raising children my whole life, starting with my sisters and parents. I was the neighborhood babysitter. I have nannied, I have diaper changed, I have gone to so many parent-teacher meetings and dance recitals and birthday parties that I am just tired. I am so tired. I'm so tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I don't want to have to ask you about the dishes in the sink or switching the laundry over. I have been the primary person responsible for feeding us since the beginning of time, and that has always been my role. You help me sometimes, and I know you try, but I feel like keeping the house together is a thankless task, and I feel alone in that too. So why on fucking earth would I wish more work upon myself? That is why I have to go reconnect sometimes. It's nice to only have to worry about taking care of myself. I said that because I go backpacking and I go hiking and whatever, and that's why I have to do that, because I have so many responsibilities. But back to my message, I said, and that's why I say my love language is acts of service, because if love is just putting away your dishes and washing your laundry and helping you walk the dog, I will spend the rest of my life doing those things because it makes your days easier.
Sorry to come in again. I promise I won't do this so much because we got to get through this. But like, this is another thing. It's like I relate to her so much in this because I also feel like acts of service is my thing. But where I've had to have conversations with my therapist is when I get like this and I'm like, I do all these things. I pick up, I cook, I do all this stuff, and like nobody cares. And then she's like, well, do you like express to them that like you're doing this for them? And I'm like, no. She's like, okay, then it's like, why would they like care? Or like, if this is just something that you always do, why would they feel like you're doing it for them? And why would they feel like you're owed some level of like thank yous if this is just something that you've always done and like you continue to do even when there's like negative actions on their end, like you're still doing it. And I'm like, good point. But this is kind of like what's happening here. It's like she's claiming that she does all this out of love and whatever, but then she's angry when the appreciation is not shown, when the act is not reciprocated, which is a perfectly normal way to feel. And I have literally been this person for my entire life, and I've had to unlearn a lot of that because I think a lot of that is how I was raised as well, where it's like you just take care of the people in your life. But under that, it's because like that is how you show love, and if you do that, then you'll get love from that, which isn't true. Like those things don't equal each other. So I get this, especially when you've always had to be the mature person, when you're always the person taking care of other people. It's exhausting, it's whatever. But a lot of that is like self-imposed as somebody who is this girl. Like I am that person. I empathize with her a lot, but I also think that a lot of this is clouded by her version of reality because she is like feeling that she's owed this back. Even though she's never expressed that like this is something that she's doing in place of like other quote love languages, which I think the love language thing is kind of bullshit because I think it kind of dilutes a lot of the actual realities of like the things that you're doing. It's like, I don't know. And it kind of gives people a pass to be like, well, that's not my love language, so I don't clean. It's like, no, okay, you're a fucking adult though. I think that's why she's angry. She's saying it's out of love, but I think in reality, she's just angry because she's like, you're an adult too. Why don't you cook and why don't you clean and why don't you do this? Because like, that's where I had to like come back to reality with all that and be like, oh, that's why I'm angry. It's not because I'm doing this out of love and I expect you to love me back. It's because I'm angry at your incompetence because I know that you are an able-bodied adult to do these things, but I don't express that to you. And instead I kind of like hold it over your head. So I've gotten a lot better at like communicating that with people instead of letting it build up like this, which everybody gets there in their own time, you know, and that's fine.
I want to make your days easier. And I don't know where or when or how, but somehow when I was putting away the dishes, I started making your days harder. And maybe it was my fault too for not telling you that I was sacrificing my own happiness to keep our world going around. But I've been wanting help for a long time too, but not help like I want my dishes to be the only ones I have to put away, you know? She says, I'm sorry that I've caused you to get to this point of anger. I'm grateful that you give me a version of yourself that no one has ever gotten to have. I've only ever wanted to emotionally connect with you as deeply as possible. I know that you give me the best version of you and that you intentionally try to accommodate my needs. I cannot pretend to understand the responsibilities that you've had to take on since a child. I didn't realize that you have been so frustrated and feeling enslaved to the household chores. Those are things that I would be more than happy to help with, but I guess I didn't realize how frustrated you were. I could have done a better job at taking initiative knowing that you were left to do it all.
Sorry. I get why she's like, so like, how do you not see this? Like Erin being like, I don't understand how you're not seeing that I do all this. I don't understand how you're not doing whatever. And A is like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize like that was something that like you felt like you were doing only, like I'll do better and like whatever. Listen, I have literally had to have these conversations with people I've lived with as roommates, not even on a romantic setting, where it's like, hey, I love you, but I feel like I'm just the Cinderella of this bitch. Guess what? After having that one conversation, shit changed overnight. After being so afraid to have those conversations with people my whole life and feeling like I just had to bear all of the responsibility because I felt like nobody was doing it. That's not true. The reality is a lot of people just like live differently than you. I definitely have some level of like, back to the type A, like I have very type A tendencies when it comes to like how I keep my household. Like I like shit very clean. I like things very organized. I prioritize like things that other people don't prioritize. Like that doesn't matter so much to people. And like everybody is different in that. That's why it's important to like express that to people. And like you guys establish like, okay, if I really give a fuck that shit is constantly dusted, I have to do that. Okay, I can't get mad when like this other person doesn't dust things weekly when that's just not who they are. But like a compromise that we can have is like, hey, put the dishes away when you're done doing them, you know? After you eat, just put them in the dishwasher. That's an easy thing, and that's like a normal thing to like establish, okay? So I think a lot of this, like I totally empathize with Erin because I have been her. I am like, girl, I get it. I am you when it comes to all of that. But, and not to play devil's advocate, because like I don't think that's what I'm trying to do either, or be on A side, because I'm not on A side. But I'm just saying, like, communication wise, is like you can feel like you're the best communicator ever and still be shitty at it. I don't know. It's kind of like this assumption that people are in your brain and know what you're thinking, but you never tell them what you're thinking because everything, you want to keep everything happy and sunshine and rainbows and whatever. But like I've learned that like confrontation is not a negative thing. It's a very normal thing to have, and it helps, if anything, actually deepen your bond with people when you're able to just be like upfront with them about like things that are aggravating to you. So it's like you don't always need to be fights and arguments. So I don't think that's productive. But her also explaining like they've never had an argument and besides one time, that to me seems a bit unrealistic. It seems like everything is kind of like a stacking of cards, like just one shake and it's over because they're not used to like having these like disagreements or whatever. It was like, even in my friendships, like I don't get in fights with my friends, but like I've definitely had like up and downs with friendships where it's like, you know, we'll disagree on something and we like talk about it and we like have some awkward moments and then we get over it and we're better because of it. We have deeper friendships because of it. Same with relationships. So I don't know, not saying it's good or bad to never have fights, but I'm saying it's very human to have disagreements with people, especially people that you live with, especially people that you're romantically involved with and like intimately deep with. There is going to become arguments. It's like, think of your siblings. Nobody else in the world are you closer to than like your sister or your brother or whatever, for most people who have siblings. So like, girl, me and my brother fight constantly, but I would like literally kill myself for him if I needed to. Like that's what, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think it's not that it's healthy to fight, but I do think that it's very healthy and very productive to like talk through disagreements and to have disagreements with people. I think it helps you grow and learn and whatever. So that's another thing with all of this that I'm kind of like, it seems kind of like fairy tale land, which some people, that's how their relationships are. And that's great, I guess.
I could not care less if the laundry gets done exactly when it's supposed to. I care about a present partner who remembers things about my day, who wants to spend quality time, who wants to emotionally connect and just have a conversation about life, and shares a special type of intimacy that no one else can come close to, who can share things with me because they know it's important for me to feel connected. These things matter to me. When I don't have them, I do not feel like I'm in a partnership. I'm sure you feel the same way regarding support with acts of service. She said, I understand what you are saying, and I appreciate you sharing this. I'm grateful, and I am grateful that you want to make my days easier because I've only ever wanted the same for you. I want you to be happy and feel supported. The dishes being done do not make me feel loved. I do not care about the fucking dishes, but I do care about your happiness and understand your love language, so I know that would make you feel loved and supported. I responded, I am really tired, but sometimes the sleep I really want is the kind I don't think we get to experience here. So I check off my daily list of I got 8 hours, I fed myself, I moved my body, and I showed gratitude. I really try to ground myself each day. I feel so lucky to experience love within that list. You make me feel love. But I'll be honest, I don't have the capacity for more. I've spent so much time trying to explain that I finally get to feel what it's like to be happy in my days, and that's because of the choice that I make every single day, and it's just really tiring. She said, what do you mean by sleep that you want is the kind you don't get to experience here? I said, I'm just really tired, my love. She said, I don't want to make this about me, but that answer scares me. I said, stop. I mean, my spirit is drained. She said, I am sorry. I've been a variable in that. And capacity for more of what? I said, it is not you. I'm saying I don't have the capacity to have a child. She said, I know. I'm not trying to challenge or stretch your capacity for that. Mind you, at this point, the only thing I think we are talking about is marriage and kids. In marriage, I already said I wanted to do. I want to do that. Kids, I just said we can do it, but I need help. That's what all of this is just me saying I need some help, because in 7 years, all I have done is take care of everything. I do the yard, I do the cooking, I do the cleaning. And when I say cooking, I mean, I'm culinary trained. I cook fabulous meals and I love to do it. But All I think we are talking about is marriage and kids. I need help is all. She is a salaried employee and chooses to work crazy amounts of hours, whereas I very much chill. I work 4 or 5 hours a day max because I work for myself. But I digress. I go back to messages. She said, I'm not trying to challenge or stretch your capacity for that. I said, I have to sleep. She said, okay, I love you. I said, sleeping without you makes all of this feel worse and I hate it. She said, I agree with you. So the next day rolls around. She has training in the morning. She had her clients, because remember she took Kay's car to go train her clients. And I have meal prep in the morning. I am nannying later in the afternoon. So I have a little gap in the middle of my day. I finished the meal prep early in the morning. I had stayed down in San Diego house sitting. So I come back up to home and I finish that. I get done. I'm probably finished around noon-ish. And I asked her if she would like to go with me when she got home from her personal training clients to go back down to take care of the animals that I was caring for in the house before I had to nanny. So she says yes. Mind you, we've been going back and forth for 2 days at this point, and all that we've been talking about is marriage and kids Friday. Saturday was the beach day. Marriage and kids. Had that whole conversation until like 2 o'clock in the morning over text message. I said I needed to sleep. And then she gets home from her personal training clients and I need to go take care of the house. So I'm like, you want to come with me? And she's like, yes, sure. So we get in the car and she is clearly nervous in the passenger seat. She's like fidgeting around and I'm like, can we continue our conversation? Like keep talking. And she was like, sure. And I said, can I ask you, who promised you the world? And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, who promised you the white picket fence and the house and the 2.5 kids and the dogs and the cars and everything? Because this feels really out of the blue. Mind you, we have never had a fight. We've never had a fight. We had one conversation about kids 4 years prior. So when this is handed to me when I get back from a trip, I'm like, things feel weird. So I asked her, who promised you this? And she looks at me and she goes, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have feelings for Kay. And I said, I knew it. I knew it. And then I said, did you sleep with her? And she goes, starts crying. And she said, yes. So I looked at her. Mind you, I've never cussed at her a day in my life. I don't raise my voice at her. I don't yell at her. She is somebody that I see as a precious little egg, and I have glued her pieces back together, and she is fragile. So I treat her like she is fragile, and I look at her and I said, I don't cuss at this woman. And I said, for TikTok viewing purposes, F you. And then I said, F you again. And then I said, F you again. And then I said, F you again. And I was like, I want to crash this car. And I start rattling off questions. I said, was it good for you? Did you think about me? How many times? How long ago? And she's answering all of my questions. I said, when did this start? She said 3 weeks ago. I said, how many times? She said 1 time. I said, do you feel good about it? She said, no. I'm rattling anything that comes to my brain at that moment. I asked her what date. She couldn't come up with a date. That's not true. I'm sure you could come up with a date. So I told her to get out of my car while I was driving. And I'm pretty sure I was driving 60, 70 miles an hour. So I pulled into the nearest neighborhood to make a U-turn and take her back to my house. So I drop her off. I yelled at her the whole time. I told her to get out of my car. I really don't remember exactly what was said because it was so heat of the moment crazy. And I was losing my mind, if I'm being completely honest, as one does when they're blindsided and the rug is ripped out from underneath them. So I dropped her off at the house and then I text her immediately because I am enraged. And I said, you have a lot to think about. I will give you until tomorrow. And then I texted immediately and said, that was such a shitty thing to do. She responds to me, you are right and I'm sorry. I said, I don't know if you are. That's what sucks. I said, I deserve better. And then I said, this is our friend and our friend. I said, you saw what that did to our friend. Year 7 too. And then you took her car. Like she's your fucking girlfriend. I knew it was all off. You make me sick. Kay didn't promise me shit, but you did. Pause. Our friends went through the same thing. Year 7, one of the wives cheated on the other wife with a girl from work, left her for the girl from work, and then our friend, the one who we stayed friends with, the one who didn't cheat, came to stay with us, laid on our couch, shaking and crying, and I would hold her while she cried. That was her first call. My partner was my friend T's first call when her wife cheated. And I'm like, this is textbook, and we don't talk to the other wife because of what she did to our friend. Anyway, A responds to me, my partner, and says, I'm not trying to hide things from you, as effing terrible as it is. I should have talked to you sooner. I said, before you effed her or like after. And I said, so are you just going to move on now? Like I kick you out and you go stay with Kay? Or how does this work? And then I said, my client is there to get meals. Please open the door for him. She said, I didn't know that. I left to get my car. You can give him the gate code. And I got angry. And I said, it's his first time ever picking up meals. And then I said, I'm going with you to Kay's. Because you know what? When she was at her house the night before, I screenshotted her address. Because why wouldn't I? And why are you there? She said, I did not know anyone was picking up. And no. And then she responded to my message directly that said, are you going to move on now? I kick you out and you go stay with Kay, or how does this work? And she said, I am not staying with her. I said, okay, I'm still going over there. And then she called me. She was like, do not come with me to Kay's. I'm going to get my car. I said, then you are going to get an Uber. You are not going to tell her a thing. Because if you do, I know where your loyalty lies. And her voice is shaking. She's like, I understand. I won't do that. She texted me and said she's ordering Uber. I said, thank you. She texted, I just got to my car. I said, I think we will miss each other. I would like to talk after I nanny tonight. I had a nanny job. How are you going to tell me this? Let me just remind you, I had the whole week off of work after I got home from my vacations. Why would you tell me this when I pick work back up, when I'm house sitting, when I'm nannying, when I have meal prep clients, when I'm personal training? Why would you tell me that then? Why couldn't you have some human decency and tell me when I have a week to process? But, consideration clearly wasn't on her list of things. Even though I consider her in everything that I do. She texted me that we can talk after I'm done nannying. She said her ETA home is at 3:30. I said I needed to be at my nanny's kiddos by 3:30. She said, I know, I'm sorry I couldn't make it back that quickly. I said, I want you to think of a plan of action moving forward. What your thoughts are. I want to hear actionable items that we can start implementing this week. That is the conversation I would like to have tonight, just so you know where my head is at. She responds to me, okay, I understand. Perfect. That was it. I nannied until almost 11 o'clock at night. It was not supposed to be that late, so I was thinking like, oh, we'll have plenty of time to have a conversation. Mind you, this is a Sunday night, so we both have work early in the morning on Monday. She has personal training clients. I have personal training clients. But 11 o'clock comes around, I'm done nannying. While I was nannying, made a list of what we are going to do to reconcile and repair our relationship, because what was that? So I go and call her. I'm on my way home. She is asleep. Obviously, it's late at night, and I wake her up out of her sleep, and I am still house sitting. So I pick her up, and we go down to my house sitting client's house, and we talk until 3:30 in the morning about everything I typed in my notes while I was nannying.
We're at part 5. How are we doing? Do you need a drink? Do you need a snack? Go grab a drink, go grab a snack, take a lap, take a walk, do what you gotta do, because this shit is getting intense. And as you can see, we're now entering the part of this where this becomes very therapy-esque, where it's like, here's my list of things, here is how we're going to address the list of things, these are our action items, these are our goals, these are our stretch goals. Like, it's very like interesting, and it's like, hey, every person deals with shit differently. And I think as the more and more I watch of Erin, the more I see her personality come through in her way that she does life, which I think is very like strict guidelines of whatever, because I think that's what helps her. Like, it helps her establish a level of control, to feel in control, because she'll explain later, like, maybe she had a very tumultuous like childhood where it was like, now she feels like she can have control, so like these are the ways that she does it. So it's like, I understand every person is different, every person is whatever. However, I would say in this situation, she is just trying to do whatever she can to like maintain a level of control, where she has just like learned news that has quite literally given her zero control in all of it, because her girlfriend partner has decided to like throw a massive wrench in their relationship by choosing to step outside of it. So it's like, I empathize with her completely. However, I just think back to like what I was saying earlier, you cannot checklist this type of thing. You cannot like unlearn this type of news and like go back to a place that you were at before, especially when you already are holding this much animosity towards this person in regards to very minute things like doing the dishes and like cooking and cleaning and doing the lawn and whatever. It's like, there is so much built up animosity that, like rightfully so, but it's just, you're never going to get back there. It's just a kind of like inevitable. So like, I guess my overall hope with all of this is that Erin does move on, and she does kind of like, this is like her getting all this out of her system, and then she can let it go and just like move on, like live her van life or like whatever she wants to do, go travel, go like hike and whatever. I hope that she gets that out of this, and I hope she doesn't get back with this person, because that's another big fear I have when people like do these like big blown out things like this. It's like, I think a lot of times then they end up getting back together with that person, and you're like, no, we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. So I really hope that doesn't happen. But let's get into part 6.
So at this point, I had picked her up from my house because she was there sleeping. I had been nannying until 11. So I take her down to my house sitting clients in San Diego so that we can have our conversation. And I wanted to be the one to lead this conversation. And I wrote everything in my notes. That's what I'm referencing now in my phone that I wanted to speak with her on. So I'm like holding my phone as we're having this conversation to make sure that I get all of these bullet points. So by the time we get there, obviously we're both exhausted. I don't think either of us had slept in 2 days. Neither of us had really eaten. And I asked her to start, how are you feeling? And she tells me that she's tired. And I said, I'm angry that it took you over a week to tell me, then 2 full days of talking to come forward with all the information. I think she kind of nodded her head to say, yeah, like that sucks, but her demeanor was very closed off. Like she has hat on, hood up, like arms crossed, legs crossed as I'm talking to her, which she sometimes does that when she's like really tired, so I didn't think much of it. But I had questions about the act itself, and I said, did you plan this? And she told me no. I said, was it a meetup knowing that this was gonna happen? She told me no. I said, did you feel good about it, or did you feel awful after? And she told me that she felt terrible. And I said, did you think about how I would feel? And this was like a genuine question. Did you think of me? And she said no, which is crazy to me because my picture of me and her together dancing is the background on her phone. So while you're texting this girl to meet up with her, to hang out at any capacity, you had to look at my face before unlocking your phone. I digress. I said, did you feel like it was a mistake, and do you wish you could take it back? And then I asked who initiated it. She said it was a mistake. She wishes she could go back, and she said they both initiated it at the same time. They both kind of went for it. So, okay. I asked her what her day looked like today. I said, when did this start? I'm thinking February, so 50-ish days was enough time to decide that you wanted to throw away all of our years together. And the reason I said February was because they ran a half marathon together, February 14th. So it was like a Valentine's Day half marathon, and she was just going to do a 5K or a 10K, and then ended up doing the full half, which great. And then she had told me that it had only been 3 weeks, and she stood pretty firm on that. So I no longer believe that, but these were the things that were said to me. I said, I feel sick seeing photos of you. You can put your resignation into your job on your own, or I can go make a spectacle. I will give you the ability to protect your image. I told her that this makes me not even want to believe in love. If you would prefer me not in your life at all, then I can give you that opportunity to go embark on something different. I said, when times get tough, that's when your values are supposed to uphold the strongest. And prior to this, if I had to select values that I thought embodied you, I would say honesty, monogamy, communication, and family. And all of that was just thrown away. I said, I am literally your family, and you disrespected me at the highest level. And then I had notes on reconciling versus separating. And I didn't even go into the notes of separating that night, if I'm being honest. I said, I want to know that I tried everything I could do to make this work, but I'm not weak. I'm not just somebody that you can use and throw to the side like yesterday's garbage. I said, who have you confided in and with what % honesty? And she told me that she confided in her friend from Texas, the one that she had spoke to earlier. I said, what did she have to say about this? And she said, I'm going to be honest, she hasn't been a fan of our relationship for quite some time. And I said, why? Like, why would she not be a fan of our relationship? Like, what narrative have you spun to her to make her not a fan of our relationship? Because everybody in my circle knows how highly I speak of her at all times. So I said, I hate that I couldn't be that person that you were confiding in. And then I said, remember, and some other girl's name. There was a point a couple years ago where she came to me and she was crying and said that she crossed an emotional boundary with somebody, and it was one of her ex's partners, and they had just been talking in text message exchange. They met up in person when she was back home visiting family, and just in their text messages, like some conversation crossed a boundary. And I said, is there anything for me to worry about? She told me no. I said, is there something that we need to talk about as far as this goes? She told me no. I said, they will handle what happens in their 4 walls, and we will take care of what happens within our 4 walls. But I understand in a sapphic relationship how you confide and deeply emotionally connect with your female friends, and the only thing that separates that from you with your partner is sex. Like, intimacy is sharing deep emotional bonds and connections. So I understand the human nature of flirtatious conversation getting out of hand or confiding in someone when you shouldn't have. So I said, remember that girl's name. Like, just come to me and talk to me. I am a person. I understand how things happen and get out of hand. After that, I talked about the points of reconciling. I said what we were going to do, therapy, and we were doing individual and couples therapy. I said you can put your resignation into your job on your own. You can end all ties with K. I said it is not K that you are wanting, it is a feeling. We're going to do a daily check-in, a weekly check-in, a monthly check-in, and then I wanted to create vision boards together. I wanted a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and then we're going to give it our all for 30 days and check in June and see how we're feeling. Another non-negotiable was an intentional 45 minutes together every evening with no phones allowed. I'm frustrated because if there was a lack, this should have been implemented sooner. All of this could have been avoided. If you still love me and I still love you and you felt there was a deficit in our relationship and not a misalignment of core values, then talk about intimacy, talk about quality time, talk about the things that you're needing with your partner instead of getting external validation from a coworker who doesn't deal with your dirty laundry, quite literally. So then I had notes on separating, and I didn't even go into that with her. I said, I'm not going to beg you to stay. And then I asked questions in regards to my future, and I was like, would you be okay with seeing me with someone else? Because that's a reality you're gonna have to face. And then I said, I'm not sure that you're seeing that far. And then I asked if she would feel, how she would feel if they got what she wanted, because I want the same things. I want marriage. Kids, that's up for negotiation, but I want to be married. And so I was like, marriage and raising a family, and I'm not trying to be manipulative, but this is simply what we spoke on before. I want you to consider all these things as I have, because when we walk away from my own sanity, I have to be done. And I gave her all my cards. I gave her absolutely everything. I told her that I talked to my sister. I told her that my sister said, don't even let A think that I'm considering working it out at this point. You're bargaining way too early. But all I see is my life in front of me and the rug being ripped out from underneath me. So I'm going to cling onto whatever I possibly can.
Yeah, and so I get that. Like, she's like just kind of like doing anything that she can to like pick up the pieces of this. So it's like, I understand, because it's like all she's known for the last 7 years. However, I don't know, it's like low-key toxic as hell. Like, not saying that Erin is toxic all the time, but this way of speaking and this way of like, and I get it, you got cheated on, so like everything, like you're the worst version of yourself in that moment, because like you just like hate the world and you're like, oh god, like everything's fucked, like this person I cared for so deeply like fucked me over, like I can't trust anybody, like I have to, like we have to do all these things to like make it work, blah 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 blah. I get that, but like this is so cold. All of it feels so like medical, like clinical, like, oh, we're gonna do talk therapy, we're gonna do couples therapy, we're gonna do 45 minutes of like intentional bonding time every day. Like, it just feels so clinical, and like, I don't know, especially looking back on the like the first couple parts of this where A was like shocked that Erin had like changed her perception and her perspective on like having kids and like was willing to have kids now. I think A was like, oh fuck, like I kind of wanted you to like dip out like and break up with me. I think this definitely was like another moment where A was like, not defending A, but I'm just saying, like, from that perspective of like, if she was already checked out then, like this is definitely not going to make anything any better. But I get where Erin's coming from, being like, this is what she knows, this is how she knows how to like feel like she has some level of control in this situation, which she like had no control over. So it's like, I get it, but it's also like, if somebody told me like all this stuff, first of all, I would never understand, because I would never cheat on somebody, but like, I'm trying to look at it through the other side. Like, this would be very jarring to me. if I was ever in a relationship with somebody and we got in we had some very intense issues, and they like presented this to me and was like reading through notes on their phone. Like, I don't know. It's kind of a lot. This is a lot. It feels like a job, not a relationship, if that makes sense.
Because as far as I was concerned, I was in love with all of my heart and soul, and I had 100% committed to everything just, three days ago at this point. So I was like, I don't want to push you further away. I wish it never got here. I want us to reread our old notes to each other. And then I told her, I realized that Kay has me blocked, and she has me blocked on every account that I have access to. And let me tell you, when I did social media for work, I have access to a lot of accounts. So at this point, we finish our conversation down at my house sitting client's house. It is 3:30 in the morning, and we decide to go back to our house to get some sleep. So I make my way back home, and we get in bed, and everything is like trying to get our nervous systems to just calm down. So we're cuddling, we're spooning, we sleep together throughout the night, and it was the worst night of sleep I think I've ever experienced in my entire life. I had a couple of panic attacks throughout the night. She is the one who is holding me. She is rubbing my chest. She's saying, it's okay, you're safe, you're loved. She's kissing me and telling me that I'm gonna be okay. I just start crying randomly while I'm trying to sleep. Like, I'm just trying to get my heart to stop racing. I had looked, don't know how accurate it is, but on my Apple Watch, and my heart rate didn't go below 140 beats per minute for 3 days, even when I was trying to sleep. So when I say I thought I was dying at a couple of points, like I legitimately thought that I was dying, I end up falling asleep for just a couple hours. I have to get up really early. She has to get up really early, but we still make the intentional commitment to get up, walk the dog together. I made us breakfast. We had breakfast together, and we hold hands as we're walking, and everything is great and dandy, and I walk her to her car, and we go off for the day. So once we go off for the day, I try to keep conversation light, but I have all the text messages from the day. I really, really do love you. I hope you have a great day. I know you're probably going to be hectic because tomorrow is closeout. I would love to hear about how your conversation about San Clemente goes. So she is potentially being transferred already to a different location from which she works at. Within her company, they were kind of doing a restructure of this other location, and she had been offered this position, but she didn't know if she wanted to take it. She had been saying that she was so comfortable at the location in which she was at, but now I believe that there was other reasons why she did not want to take it, but she was still going to have this conversation. This was before anything anyway. This was already going to be a conversation, and this is how I was going to save her from having to put her resignation in when I gave that ultimatum.
Okay, so you kind of see the pattern here. You see where we're going with this. I feel so bad because like I empathize with Erin, but I'm also just like, girl, you gotta know this is crazy. You gotta know this is like obsessive level of behavior. And I get it. You're irrational. You're not thinking straight. You're trying to do anything that you need. So it's like, I get that. But I think it's also, there's so many people in the comments being like, you're the most emotionally mature person I've ever seen. You handled this with such grace. Like, I would have done so much worse, blah, blah, blah. I think that also just makes me realize like how many other people I'm like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just also because I don't deeply care that much about any relationship I've ever been in, where I'm like, oh, you fucked me over. Okay, bye. Oh, you don't respect me. Okay, bye. So I get it's different, but I feel like this is a way I would have reacted when I was very young. But to my understanding, I think these people are like my age or slightly older. So I'm just, I don't know. It's a lot. This is a lot. I feel like I'm on that show, that couples therapy show, where I'm like seeing stuff I shouldn't be seeing into this relationship. And I'm like, oh my God, this is exhausting from both ends. You know, they're just talking about, oh, we don't sleep. We're staying up. We're talking circles around it. We have to check in. We have to do 45 minutes. We're holding hands. We're kissing. We're cuddling. But I'm having panic attacks over every night for hours. My heart rate's not going. I'm like, girl, take a moment. Take it in, Michaela Noguera style. It's okay. Take a seat. You're going to want to sit down for this. Like, my God. Like, this is stressing me out. Hearing this is stressing me the fuck out. I would shut down in this situation. So, like, good for her for, like, fucking keep on trucking through it. But, like, we're just very different in that regard. It's like we're so similar in so many things. But then I see other stuff and I'm like, oh, my God, I would never have done this. And that's really life, you know, we're all so different.
Me from essentially reporting the issue to HR. I said, I don't mind texting. I would really like to feel some sense of normal, but while we are both working, let's keep the conversation light. I'm looking forward to a normal night and a full night of sleep with you tonight. She responds, I love you quite a lot. I hope you are able to find moments of breath today. And thank you for the touch-in regarding work. We can definitely keep the conversation light today. Most certainly looking forward to getting sleep tonight. I texted talking about my clients. She's talking about how sweet my clients are. I'm talking about my little nanny girl. She's saying this is hilarious to me. I'm asking her how her day has been. She said she has a few business plans back to back here in a minute. And then I asked if she got a lunch break. She said that she's going to be talking to her 2 VPs at 1 and then she'll have a break. And I said, I'm excited to hear how that conversation goes. So she asked me how I was doing. And I said, we're supposed to keep our conversation light while we're working. So I'd like to stick to that for now. My client asked me where my sparkle was today. And that was really hard. I really am a bubbly person. Usually I'm a really funny person. So all of this is new to me. Crying is new to me. The anger is new to me. All of it's new. And then she said, okay, fair. And I told her that my client got me really cool envelopes from a different country that she went to. And I said, it's a hard day, but it just makes you appreciate the easy ones a little bit more. And she responded with, my client is definitely a rock for me, with a red heart. And I said, she's the best. So is the mom that I nanny for. I said, I walked in the house and she said, the potatoes have 5 minutes, you don't have to eat them, but I thought if they were cooked, you might have a couple. My people really do rally around me. And she said that makes me happy. And I checked in again about the conversation with the VPs, and she said I verbally accepted the other position. And I said, I think that's a good move. How are you feeling about it? And she said it makes sense. I asked her if she has an official start date. She tells me when it is. And I said, you could make that start date sooner, or you could be asked to go over there sooner. And she said that they could want her to go over there sooner. I said we could talk more about it tonight, but I would feel comfortable if you asked to go over there as soon as possible. However you have to spend it, i.e. build rapport with the existing community / clients, whatever. And she said, okay. So the text messages are pretty dry, but also we're supposed to keep the conversation light. I said, I see you and I understand this is hard for you too. I appreciate you doing your part in upholding our commitment. And she said, thank you for seeing me. Upholding your commitment was the night prior, us talking through everything, saying that we were going to go to therapy, saying that we were going to do the vision plan, saying that we were going to commit to each other and give it our all for 30 days and then see if at the end of 30 days we wanted to reconcile or we wanted to split. So I asked if there was anything I could do to set us up for tonight. I said, I am training right now and then I'm off for the evening. She said, not that I can think of, but I appreciate you asking. So I go, I pick up dinner and make sure that we have food at home. When she gets home, I can't eat still. And so I give her food. I went to Trader Joe's. I'm so stupid. Like, you cheated on me and I'm going to get you flowers and chocolate. Like, but it's just something that I do. It is a regular thing for me. So it wasn't that it was like a gesture of you did something to me and I'm rewarding you for it. It was literally, that's what I do. When I go to Trader Joe's, I just get the things that she likes. And anyway, she comes home, she has dinner. She doesn't eat the food. We end up going upstairs. And then we talked. And I was like, can I have 45 minutes of intentional time together tonight, just be us talking? And I had saged the house. I had pulled out all of our old love letters and I sat on the bed with her and I was like, I want you to remember that we had sparks too. So like, I completely understand you are ending something with someone else and you are trying to get back to where you are or where you were with your partner. I understand the difficulty of that even after you have an affair. Like, I get it. And I was like, I just want to remind you, we were special. Like, we were really special. And I was telling her there was a time where we were unproductive members of society because, you know, says me and Lex, however TikTok wants to take that, it takes a while. And so we would do them 3-4 times a day and we were not getting any work done. And that was like 2 whole years. So if it's the excitement that you're chasing, I understand that, but like, we can get back there was my point. And we ended up not reading the love letters. I was like, I'm so tired. Can we just lay in bed and talk? So we do. And it was great. It was very calming. It was, I don't know, it felt good to be normal for a little bit, even if normal was completely flipped upside down. And that night was great. We held each other to fall asleep, but then my panic attack started again. And I was just having panic attack after panic attack after panic attack. And she would be the one to hold me and she'd rub my chest and tell me I'm so loved, I'm safe. She would offer me a washcloth. Like, I felt like I had Stockholm syndrome. Like, I felt like my person who I have confided everything in for my entire last 7 years just hurt me so bad. And there's a dagger in my back. And I'm just like, please take care of me. And that is what she did. She took care of me while I cried and while I panicked and while I'm rocking on the floor. And it was dehumanizing, to say the least. Neither of us have slept since April 24th at this point. This day, we wake up and we're still following the same protocol of spend quality time together because that was the big point of pain in our previous conversations, is us making time for one another. So we wake up early, have breakfast, walk the dog, have the conversation, talk about potentially seeing each other for lunch, and then she is at work at this point. She texts me and says, thank you for going with me to walk Joe and making me breakfast. That was very kind. Judging by my schedule, I'm not going to take a designated lunch break today. My appointments will take me to at least 1:32, and I need to prioritize moving my body. I say that's fair. We talk all throughout the day just about how our day is going, and as previously discussed, we keep conversation light so that neither of us feel too heavy while we're at work. I sent her a text message in the evening before she gets home from work and I say, I picked up food for dinner. She says, bless. So that evening, I think neither of us have an appetite still. So we go straight upstairs, and as I had wanted to the evening prior, I had all of our old love letters drawn out and on the bed, like stacks of love letters. We are the type of people to write love letters for every occasion. I write love letters and put them on her steering wheel. I write love letters and stick them on the mirror. She writes love letters and puts them on my cup. Like, we have so much history that has been written down, and I thought maybe if we could read some of that history to each other, her read her letters to me and me read my letters to her, that it could reignite sparks or just remind her of the kind of love that we've had. So in addition to just the love letters, I have my journals, my burn book. I have this book that I write like manifestations and hold things to myself in, and I have it all out on the bed. And I wanted to read through one entry to her that I had wrote when I was 19 about how awful I was to one of my ex-partners and how I regretted ever trying to love someone before properly loving myself. I wrote about how selfish I was and how it was awful to do that to another human being and take something that's so magic, like the pure idea that we are both existing in this lifetime and at the same time, like, we are miracles to even exist, and for me to treat somebody so horribly.
Okay, it's like, I get where you're coming from, girl. I get where you're coming from, where you're like, I did all this and I've grown from it, and like, maybe if I tell you how I was feeling, like, you could become like me. And it's like, she's not like you. She's not like you. She does not fuck with you. She doesn't like you. She cheated on you. And that sucks so bad. It sucks so bad, especially when you deeply care for somebody and you love them and you want what's best for them and you want them to be their best version of themselves. Sometimes the best version of somebody's self is a piece of shit. Sometimes the best a person can be is a literal piece of shit. That sucks. It really sucks, especially when you had a version of them built up in your head. A lot of people will date people and get in relationships with people and want to fix something about them that inherently is always going to be broken. And it's tough, but like, that's just the reality of people. It's like we're imperfect. Even a person who's seemingly perfect on the outside or seemingly has all their shit together, they have a piece of them that is always going to be a bit off, a bit fucked up, like whatever, because that's just natural. That's just being human. And what sucks is, like, when you're in a relationship with somebody and they show you something and they tell you something and then they do something else and you feel betrayed, but you still think like, they told me this so I can get them there. It's just unfortunate because like A is never going to be that person. She's never going to be that person. And you're going to learn later that this isn't even the first time this shit has happened. Okay? You're going to learn later that, oh, my light just died. Hold on. That this isn't the first time this has happened. And yeah. So let's gonna keep going. I'm going to fix the light while Erin's telling her story.
I expressed in this journal entry how sad it is to have someone else be collateral damage when you are trying to navigate the world. And the journal prompt was just, what is one thing that you regret most in this life? And my idea in reading that entry to her is show her what she's doing to me. Like, we have had pure love and admiration for one another for 7 years, and you decide to betray me at the ultimate level. And that's my biggest regret in this world, is ever hurting somebody else, because I don't take other people's feelings lightly. And I just felt like my feelings were being taken lightly. And we read a few letters back and forth, and she expressed how nice it's been to just spend quality time together and how this is all she's been wanting. And there's so much physical affection, because that was another point that she had made. And we are being mindful and giving that to one another. And she says she's been wanting this for a really long time, but she feels like she's just built up this emotional wall against me. And then I was kind of like, do you think that's because you slept with someone else? Like, I don't know how you expect to feel any different when you give your soul to some other person that is not in our relationship. And I think at this point, we're just both exhausted and we are ready to go to bed. We try to go to sleep and my panic attacks start all over again. I just felt, even though we had spent 45 minutes reading and talking and being affectionate, it just felt heavy. Everything felt heavy. And no matter what I did to try to calm down, I couldn't get my nervous system to stop. Like, my body was just like shaking and my whole body was sore, and I haven't slept in days and I haven't been able to eat and I couldn't even drink water. And so the panic attacks just started again and again and again. And I'm pretty sure I had 3 consecutive panic attacks, and the whole time she's the one who was getting on the floor holding me. And I went downstairs to get water and I just like couldn't stand anymore. And I remember I crouched down and I couldn't figure out how to even exist. And there has been points in my life where I've really struggled with my mental health. When I was a kiddo, I like in high school, I didn't want to be here anymore, and I had made some choices and had to go to a place to stay for a little bit. And so when I made it back upstairs, I had just told her, like, I need to leave. Like, I need to go because I really need some help right now. And I know the signs of me needing help. And so my logical brain fully recognizes that it's not that I don't actually want to be here. It's that I want to escape whatever feeling that I'm having in that moment. But I thought that I was cured or healed or whatever, because I haven't felt anything like that in a very, very long time. So this was one of those times where I just knew I needed to seek maybe some professional guidance. So she's comforting me throughout this. She's holding me. She's telling me that I'll be okay. She's telling me to just breathe. She's telling me to stay here for the night and we'll get through this and we can talk about going somewhere in the morning. And I was like, I gotta go. Like, I don't want to be here. And I just kept repeating the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I end up staying at home all night. She does take care of me very well throughout the night. And when I woke up in the morning, she had taken quite a bit of the morning off. We had talked just a little bit, and I told her I still think I need to go somewhere. I wake up on the morning of Wednesday, the 29th, and I am still adamant that I need to go somewhere. So my partner has taken the morning off of work, and I end by saying, before I walk out the door, that I am going to take care of a couple of clients, and I am going to figure out a plan for myself of where to go, because I fully recognize that I need help. At this point, she hugs me, she kisses me, she tells me that she just needs me to be okay. And my interpretation was, when we were having this conversation, it felt very selfish, like, I need you to be okay for me, instead of I'm genuinely concerned about you. But again, that is my interpretation of how that conversation went that morning. I also had extremely heightened emotions, and I may have been reading things incorrectly, but it just felt as though I need you to be okay so that I can feel absolved of my part in how you're feeling. She texted me as I had left, and she said, you don't have to, but I'd really appreciate if you kept me in the loop today. I would like to know where you are. To which I responded, and I said I have a day plan today. I skipped training with my clients, and I talked about my clients a little bit. One of them took me to a cafe. I told her at 12:30 I have a Reiki appointment downtown with a natural healer because I have to get this panic and anxiety under control, and I said that will be until 3:30. I had let her know when I left that I may potentially get a 5150 and I may not have my phone. I don't know how that was going to go. And we were supposed to have a therapy appointment with our couples therapist on Thursday. So the following day, it is now Wednesday. And I said, I don't know if I will be able to make it on that call. As soon as I get to the location, I will let you know if I have my phone. I didn't know if I was going to be held or if I was going to get my privileges taken away of having my phone. Back to my message. So I said, I'm going home to pack now. I am meeting my friend at 4:30, my friend in which I was going to have take me to the place. I said, I'm waiting to stay with, and then I said the name of a recovery center. It is a holistic treatment for mental health in San Diego. They typically work with insurance, so I'm working with their finance department to figure out self-pay options. She responds to me and says, I appreciate you letting me know your plan and keeping me involved. I'm not sure if there's anything I can assist with, but please let me know if so. I know my words may not carry weight, but I just want you to be okay. So we have no more communication throughout the entirety of that day until I texted her at 4:15, letting her know I would have my phone, and I said I will be able to take the call on Thursday at 1:30 p.m. She said okay, with a red heart. So Thursday comes around the following day, and I said our call will be starting soon. Just sending a reminder that I will be calling to patch us all through. She said yes, I will be ready. And then we get on the phone with the therapist. My partner says that she feels as though she has been going with the flow for years. She says that we've never had elevated conversations, which I absolutely agree with because we've never fought. And she said that the reason why she didn't speak up was because she never wanted to murky the water. And the therapist talked us through a couple of options that we have. There's discernment therapy and couples therapy, and she was just going into the difference of the two. If you do discernment therapy, there's like path 1, path 2, path 3. With path 1, you just accept the status quo. You don't want to work things out, but you don't want to split. And path 2 is where you do like a trial separation. Path 3 is an all-out effort to save the relationship. And 6 months is the full ride on what that is. With couples therapy, it's two people who are 100% committed to, we are going to make this work, we're going to talk things through, and we both want an all-out effort to make this happen. So when I'm asked, I of course want to do the couples therapy, and my partner would like to do the other option, and I feel shattered. I am heartbroken. I asked if this were something that she even feels like is worth it, because if you're not all out wanting to save the relationship, I don't really understand why we're doing this, because we had made that original commitment for 30 days to give this our absolute all. With the discernment therapy, it doesn't require that all-out effort, and they also don't ask that third parties are cut out entirely from the equation of the relationship, and they acknowledge that that is another part of the relationship that has been added. And my heart sinks, because in my personal discussions with we have decided that she was not talking to this other girl at all, and it was still at this point my impression that she was not speaking with her at all. But regardless, I want us to have communication, and I am happy to move forward with doing this sort of therapy because I think it would be a healthy, safe space for us to both communicate. And after the call ended with the therapist, I had just sent a message saying, thank you for getting on that call with me. Do you want to talk about how you feel with the process moving forward? And she responds, you're welcome. No, other than I think it's a good idea, and I'm willing to be vulnerable with everything. I said, I really appreciate that, and I know how hard it is for us both to be vulnerable. So at this point, Wednesday I left, Thursday I'm gone, Friday I'm gone, all of the day until the afternoon. I went home without notifying and I walked in the house because my body figured something's got to give, and I had bled through all of my clothes that I had packed when I left my house. So I walk upstairs, and she is coming out of the shower, and both of us locked eyes at the same time, and she was surprised to see me, and I kind of felt shocked seeing her, and I told her what had happened and how I was going to go get clothes, and she was like, yeah, okay, go get clothes. And she was a very kind and sweet and supportive of me getting clothes, but it was like she had seen a ghost when she saw me. And so I packed new clothes, and I asked if we could talk before I left.
So at this point, I would feel like if I was in Erin's position and I was like really devoted to like making this work and was like committed to couples therapy and like had this discussion with and thought that she was on the same page, and then being like, let's do the option where we don't have to go 100%, and I also can keep talking to my like side piece. Like, I think that, I mean, personally, I would have been out the moment I knew somebody cheated on me, because that's just the person I am. Scorpio at heart. So like the moment you fuck me, I'm out. Like, peace out, Baytown. Like, literally, like that's how I feel. But pretend I'm not me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, like shame on me. Fool me 3 times, I cannot get fooled again. You know what I mean? So like that is the type of shit, like on this, I'd be like, oh, so you really fucking hate me for real. You really fucking hate me for real. Like, that's how I would perceive it. So it's like, girl, I don't need to talk to you anymore. And also the way that Erin talks about this, she keeps calling it my house, my whatever. Okay, if that's really your house, like, I'd be kicking that bitch out. I'd say, yeah, this is my house. Why are you showering in my house while I'm at the fucking psych ward trying to like get my mental health together because you fucked me? Like, I would be like, get the fuck out. Absolutely the fuck not. Get out. Get the fuck out. Like, I don't know. And that's just how we're different. Because I would not be putting up with this. And especially after you just played in my face to then be like, let's have more conversations. Girl, what the fuck are you going to talk about? There's literally nothing left to talk about. Or so I think. We're only at part 10. My God, this is going on for forever.
I went home. I'd been gone for 2 days instead of the 3 days that I had originally said that I was going to be gone for. I'd informed my partner that I would be staying with my little nanny girl's moms for the night, so I wasn't intending on staying at the house. I wanted to still very much respect and give her space, because I said that I would be gone for 3 days, and I wanted to have a conversation before I left the house, and that was something that she was open to. So as we have all of these conversations, I make notes prior to going into any of the talks so that I have my points in which I want to cover, and then I let her speak and give her points, and then at the end of all the conversations, I write in my notes everything that was spoken on so that I have it for my record, so that even if we were to not work out, I want to be able to review these things, and I'm one of those people who likes to grow as a human being and learn. And also, again, when emotions are heightened, you have a tendency to forget details. So I have documented everything. So we began the conversation, and I opened it up, and I jumped right back into the conversation of kids, because while I've been gone, that's the only thing that I had really on my mind. And I said, that's not something that we can do with the way things are right now. I work, and she works crazy hours. Is gone 12 hours a day. And I said if she wanted that to be a legitimate thing, that she would need to have a remote job or quit what she does entirely, because that's not sustainable. Also brought back up that I am not a very traditional person. If we were to have children, I want to raise them in a van, like on the road. I don't want to put them in public school, and I don't want to have the house with the white picket fence with the car that everyone drives, living the same day over and over and over and over again. And right now, I never live the same day over again. I have lots of odds and ends jobs, and I do different things, and my days always look completely different. And that's just something that I value, and that's always been a value. And this conversation was able to give me lots of clarity, because I wanted to see if our values still even aligned, if we were to both want children as well. Like if that were an avenue that we were going to take, would our wants and the way our lives look, would those even align together? I want to raise kids with somebody who I feel like I'm in a partnership with. I do not feel supported in my work that I do right now. So why on earth would I want to have more work with children involved? She goes into speaking on how she didn't see that as a viable option for us, and she didn't even think that was something that we would do. So she fully dove into work to kind of escape. She didn't see that being in our future, so she did more work than what she needed to and picked up training on the weekends, and I'm busy on the weekends, so she just dove into work, which I completely understand that perspective as well. And then I just brought up if we had kids, I don't want to live in the United States, but that conversation seems so far-fetched. I don't even know why we're talking about that right now if we don't even know if we're going to stay together. I also told her I need more touch points throughout the day. I know that she's wanting space right now, but I don't like going all day without talking to her. And then I shared my location so that if she wants to see where I am, she can see what I'm doing. So if she needs space from me, she can avoid being at home if I'm at home, or if she wants to see where I'm at, she can see where I'm at. And I said, at this current juncture, with the way that we live right now, like these are hard boundaries. Just her giving me touch points throughout the day of what she's doing while we are kind of navigating our relationship. And again, at this point, we are giving it our all to save the relationship. She again brought up me throwing a Hail Mary to save the relationship. And that's when I said, you didn't really give me the choice. You had conversations behind my back and you didn't ever involve me in them. She was very upset with the number of people in which I have involved in our business. She was upset that we have mutual friends that I reached out to first. But even if we work things out 100%, that wasn't going to be a conversation that I kept from my friends. And I'm sorry, but when you're with someone for 7 years, you don't have separate friends. You may have your friends that you confide in, and I have my friends that I confide in, but we've been together for 7 years. Your friends are my friends are your friends. But in confiding with our mutual friends, our friends had even confirmed to me that she had expressed these feelings to them. So our mutual friends are saying, yeah, she wants you guys to be married and to have kids, and she doesn't see that happening, but they figured everything was okay because we were still together. And these conversations were happening as far as a year ago. And this was multiple friends.
Okay, I have something to say on this. I'm back. Sorry, I was drawing because I've literally heard this story so many times. So it's not that I'm like not engaged, but I'm letting y'all hear it and take a moment, take it in. Like literally, like you're gonna want to sit down for this. So here is pro tip. Don't complain about your relationship to your friends about the really bad stuff unless you're willing to end it and walk away for forever. Because here's what I will say about when you bring other people into your relationship. I'm not saying never talk about your relationship to other people. Not saying that at all. In fact, I think you should, but I guess what I'm saying is like, don't then like get mad at your friends for then not supporting this relationship. Because if my friend tells me some fuck shit that her partner did, I'm sorry, like I don't fuck with that person anymore, and I never will. I don't care how sweet you tell me they are. I don't care whatever, because like I'll never forget that. It's the same thing like if you tell your parents like some fuck shit about your partner, or like she said that she told her sister the moment all this happened, she told her sister that A cheated on her. Like, I'm sorry, if I'm the sister, her sister literally said like, you need to get away from this. Like, this is bullshit. Like, don't get back with her. I would be the same way, because I'm like, hell no. You deserve so much better. I get what she's saying here about the fact that like she's confiding in all of their friends about like relationship issues. You shouldn't, not that you shouldn't do that, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things is like once you do it, I feel like you need to be ready to like do something about it. That is one thing I've told all of my friends who've ever come to me about like repetitive. It's not like a one-off like complaining, like I get that, you do that, that's normal, that's venting, that's whatever. But it's like the repetitive complaining about really fuck shit that keeps happening over and over and over in a relationship. You can only tell me that so many times to where I'm going to get to a point where I say either break up with them, right? Or shut the fuck up. Because what do you want me to say? I don't care how much you love this person. I can tell you with absolute certainty, they don't actually love you. Because if they did, they would not be doing this to you. And I will never support this relationship, no matter how much better they seem to be. I don't care. They crossed the line. You told me about it. You've brought me into this. So like either break up with them or do not talk to me about this anymore. Because it's once you bring other people into your relationship, like you have to like understand what that means, that you can't unhear some fuck shit. So like with cheating, I'm sorry. Once you cheat, I will never fuck with that person ever again. I've never had a friend to cheat on somebody, But I feel like it'd be the same way. Like if my friend told me that they cheated on their person, I'd be like, okay, well, I don't really fuck with you anymore. Like, sorry, but so yeah, the talking behind your back to your friends, especially when you share friends, not good.
College friends, friends that don't live in state, coworkers, all of which had kind of the same story. And I told her how incredibly hurtful that was, because you're having these conversations and leaving me out. I am your partner. I can't read minds, and I don't know anything's wrong if you don't tell me. So at this point, she confirms for me it has been about the last year that she had been feeling that way, and I lost it and that was the only time that I cried during the conversation, because I played through the last year in my head of like all of the things that we had done, and I felt used and manipulated and lied to, because how are you going to look at me in the eyes every single day and tell me how much you love me and tell me that I'm the best part of your day and tell me that the thing that you looked forward to all day was coming home to me, but you're emotionally checking out? I played through what we had done, and we've backpacked. We took a trip up to Alberta, Canada, and we had hiked through 4 national parks and did the RV thing, and she was my sister's wedding, and she met my mother, who I've been estranged from for 12 years. Like, why would you meet my mother? And I played through everything, and my brain just couldn't understand how you would continue to build a life and lie to someone. Lying by omission is still lying, and building a false truth and a future. She had sent me houses the week that she had cheated on me. Sent me houses that were in our price range because her friend that lives with us now has a boyfriend, and we wanted to build an ADU on our property for her friend and her boyfriend. That is textbook future dating. Giving you promises of a future that she never intended on actually delivering to me. But in this conversation, she was able to give me some really good perspective that I hadn't heard from her before. She said that she compares our relationship to her last relationship. It was great in comparison to that. I'm going to leave out what happened in her last relationship because it's not my business to tell. And she looks around the house and she looks at the life we live, and she says that I'm a provider, and she has always seen that I contribute so much to our household, and it makes her feel like she's happy, and she should be happy, and she should be grateful for what she has, and she feels like she is grateful for what she has, but she wants more. And I said, I think you feel like there's an emotional wall built up against me because you've already opened that avenue with somebody else, and you're physically capable of doing that with somebody else. So the fear of losing your person isn't scary to you. And she keeps trying to own her part in things, but as soon as she owns up to something, she shifts it back onto me. And all of these conversations that we could have had, all of these conversations could have been had before we had any issue. And before I got to this point, and I said, I don't know if this stems back to something traumatic from your childhood, but everyone always leaves you, and I'm not going to leave you. I'm telling you, I want this 100%. What is going on right now is not a reason for us to just move forward with our lives. And she hugged me, and it was a long hug, and it was a hard boundary that we won't be sleeping in the same bed anymore because it confuses her. And the saddest part of that conversation is that she said that she's used to feeling like she's alone a lot, even when I'm there, which feels shitty. And she said it feels more normal when I'm not home than when I'm home. So we finished having the conversation. I tell her that I'm staying over at my nanny girl's mom's house for the evening because I had originally told her I was going to be gone for 3 days. And I still wanted her to have that space at home and be able to just get some space and decompress and collect some of her thoughts. So we had that conversation. The conversation was good, but it was very somber and sad. And I just felt like we were still together, but it felt like she was checked out while I was the one who was throwing out life rafts, like, let me save this relationship. And I felt like I was putting in far more effort than what she was. Her demeanor was kind of closed off throughout, but that was anticipated because she was kind of the one who was 1 foot out and I was the one who was blindsided. So I go to stay with my friends, and they have both been through something shockingly similar with exes in their past, which is insane to me that so many people share the same experience. But I was explaining everything that happened and what I was feeling, and they were telling me what they did in their experience. And it was really nice to be able to have someone that close to me that understands exactly what I am going through. So that night I journaled down all of the points that I want to talk to with A about when we have another conversation when I finally go home for good the following day. And while I am there, I am still thinking about her more than myself. My feelings go to the back seat while I'm talking to them. She's telling me we're not going to sleep in the same bed anymore. So I ordered her a new bed for my office. I ordered a new bed frame, and I was planning on moving all of the furniture from the office into the loft and creating the office into her own personal bedroom oasis so that she could have her own space in the house and really have time to heal. Because again, we had that boundary of we probably shouldn't sleep in the same bed anymore because it's just confusing for her. I placed the order. The bed's going to be there on Tuesday. The following day I wake up. It is now Sunday. I have meal prep. She has personal training clients in the morning. So we go about our normal mornings. I go home finally, and she's there and she's upstairs sleeping. So I figured as soon as I'm done with meal prep, I'll initiate this conversation because it just feels like we are dragging things out, and there is a dagger in my back, and I need her to pull it. I need her to let me go if she's going to let me go. Of all the conversations, this was definitely the longest one. I go upstairs and initiate the conversation, and this is the most lesbian breakup you could ever imagine. We talk through everything we've already spoke on, but so much more also. There's a few points that I didn't previously talk about because I didn't think it was mine to talk about. When we talk about kids, there's a huge factor involved. She has a brother who is nonverbal, autistic, who when I first started dating her, I knew that she would one day have custody of him. And that day could be any time, and I won't get into the reasons as to why that could be any time, but that is something that I fully recognize as my own responsibility. So when we are considering children in this conversation, I fully know we will have a grown child who is unable to communicate along with our hypothetical adopted children, foster children, biological children, whatever. And I didn't know how that would fit into our lives. So I bring that up in the conversation. I bring up intimacy. I bring up expectations around intimacy. I bring up what she wants. I bring up points of pain. I bring up the fact that I always initiate. She's the one who says that she doesn't know if I'm still attracted to her, which is bullshit. But she said, I don't even feel like you're attracted to me anymore. And I said, if you go through my camera roll, you know how attracted I am to you. All I do, you're so cute, you're so cute, you're so cute. I take her photo. But we go through the entire thing. I was like, are you even attracted to me anymore? And she's like, look at you. Of course I'm attracted to you. And I was like, I don't get how you're attracted to me and attracted to her. I'm not going to go there and talk down on another woman's looks. I'm just going to tell you, we're very different. So in this, she continues to reiterate, this has nothing to do with the other girl. She says, I am not speaking with her. I am not staying with her. I am not leaving you for her. That is what she keeps telling me over and over and over and over again. And she says she is not a factor. She said the reason she couldn't come to me and communicate with me and tell me that she wasn't happy is because she looked at me and saw me as being so happy and so in love. So she made the conscientious choice to be happy every day. But now she feels like she needs to choose herself and figure herself out and figure out what actually makes her happy. I just keep asking why you can't make yourself happy or figure out what makes you happy while you are with me. I don't understand why we have to break up for her to figure out what makes her happy. So I go back into Kay and I'm like, you said you have feelings for her. And she said, yes, that is something that happened, but I am not doing anything about those feelings. So I keep questioning why. And I told her I travel all summer long. I said, you can have your space in the office. I'm going to convert it into your bedroom. I ordered a mattress for you that should be here in an hour or so. There's a bed frame that should be here by Tuesday. I am telling her, you can figure your stuff out until October and we can take this space because I travel all summer. So I was like, I'll be out of the house quite a bit anyway. And I was like, I don't know what more to give you. I can't give you any more of me because I'm giving you my all. And I said, I feel like there is a dagger in my back right now and I am dying and I just need you to take that dagger out. Like, just take the dagger out and end this. In all of this conversation, I am trying to own up to my part in whatever role I played in her cheating on me. And I'm like, I should have communicated my wants and preferences as it comes to intimacy. I should have communicated my long-term goals. I should have been communicating even when I knew the conversation was going to be uncomfortable. I prioritized, and I will admit, I prioritized making money over spending quality time together because I thought that we had the long-term financial goal of buying our house with the ADU for her friend. Like, I thought right now we were locking into bettering our future and we were going to have.
Okay, at this point, it's like, girl, we're 2 hours into this thing. I'm kind of like, okay, let's wrap it up. So she keeps going on and on and on and on and on. Let's get to the part where she starts talking about the messages that she sent not only Kay, but to A's employer. This is where things start to get, in my opinion, too far. I would say that like and back again, I'm not in this relationship. I don't know the inner workings, but I would just say from a personal level, messaging somebody's employer and also messaging the other woman is kind of like you're doing too much. At this point, you have become the mess as well. And to each their own. I would just say I would personally not do this approach if this was me. So let's just skip to that because, girl, I love you, Erin. Yapping a lot though, so we gotta reel it in. We gotta finish this. I think the way that I'm gonna do this editing, because I'm losing Wi-Fi in this room, I'm going to just like edit those clips. I won't be in the frame anymore, even though I've literally left the frame multiple times because I had to pee, I had the lighting issue, whatever. We're just going to blaze through them. I'm going to chop them up, get to the important parts, and then we will come back to the end for final thoughts and opinions about this 17-part series. Yes. So I'll be back in just a moment. 3, 2, 1.
So at this point, we're still having this conversation. It is a 4-hour-long conversation going on about every little thing. I'm taking accountability for things in our relationship. She's taking accountability for things in our relationship. We both said it's like two people come into a relationship and you have these bags, and if you don't unpack your baggage together, then the bags just sit there. And I don't think we ever fully unpacked our bags. We talked about everything. We talked about my ex. We talked about her ex. I talked about, every single part of my trauma in my entire life, and still you chose to treat me like that, knowing what I've been through. And we just hashed through absolutely everything. And she still brought up, she compares our relationship to her relationship with her ex, and she knows that she has it good, and she just feels like she's self-sabotaging right now. She doesn't know why she's making the choices that she's making. We took a break for a little bit because the conversation was getting hard. We went downstairs, and that time the bed in which I had ordered had gotten delivered. I take the bed upstairs, and we kind of end on a note where I'm just like, what do you want? What do you want from me? Like, my hands are up, and I'm just gonna let you choose at this point because you know what I want. And I take the bed upstairs or the mattress, and I unpackage it. It's like one that comes in a box, and she's helping me. I was like, we can see if your new bed is comfortable. So we like lay down on the bed, and we pick our conversation back up. And I was like, I love you. I really love you, and I really want to help you. I want to help you through this. I want to work through this, but I just need you to take the knife out of my back now. Like, if you're done, you're done. Like, just, I can't keep doing this. I can't not eat. I can't not sleep. At this point, I had lost 14 pounds, 15 pounds. In total, I lost 16 pounds over the duration of that. And I was like, I just need you to, like, show me a little bit of humanity here and just cut me loose. And she looks at me, and she's like, I love you. And she kisses me, and she tells me I'm so beautiful. And we just, like, are holding each other, and our legs are intertwined. And she's kissing my knee, and kissing my knee, and kissing my knee. And she wipes away my tears and holds my face. And I was like, I didn't think you would ever be able to do that to me. I didn't think you'd ever be able to hurt me. And I was like, not my mama, girl. Like, why would you hurt me? And she said, don't see that. And she just starts bawling. And she's kissing my face and kissing my face. And she's like, I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm so grateful for our years together. And she said, if you had to describe our years with one word, what would that be? And I said, comfortable. She said, yeah, I'm comfortable. I was like comfortable, like I could breathe for the first time in my life. I was like, I love you so much. I love everything about you. And she took my hand and she kissed every single scar that I have. She kissed all of my scars everywhere. She rubbed her hand on my cheeks and across every mole or freckle that I have on my body, and she was like, it was like she was studying me. It was 4 minutes at least of her just staring into my eyes and studying me, like looking over my entire body. It was
strange, but it felt like that was like the last time she would see me as a person that she loved. And she just told me how much she loved me, and we just kissed and kissed and kissed and kissed. And it was nice, but it was sad. And I think that's when the flip switched and she became a different person. She looks down at her watch and tells me she's got to get ready for this art exhibition and asked me if I'd help her go get ready. So this trainer at her gym is also an artist, and she's putting on this thing down in San Diego. She was like, I need to be there at whatever time. She was like, will you help me get ready for it? So I follow her into the bathroom. I'm sitting on the counter and she picks out an outfit and she comes out and she was like, what do you think of this outfit? And I said, girl, you look like Easter Sunday. Let me help you. So I go into the closet and we're like kissing and telling each other we love each other. And I was like, you gotta be patient with me, baby, because this is only day seven of me knowing like that we weren't perfect and you've had a while to process this. So just be patient with me. And she's like, of course. And she's like, can I use your shower? And I was like, yeah, of course. I was like, we'll figure out the shower, we'll figure out the kissing, we'll figure out the I love yous, because we just keep kissing, I love you, kissing, I love you, kissing, I love you. Literally help put her shirt on. I'm touching up her hair. I was like, you look so beautiful. I give her a kiss. I tell her I love her. So she gets ready to go. I walk her downstairs, kiss her before she leaves, and she tells me she'll be done at like 8:30. So of course, I'm just gonna be at home. I had finished up meal prep stuff. I needed to go do some deliveries. And I have friends everywhere. At the end of our conversation, we both had agreed we're not going to be nasty towards one another. We're not going to be vindictive towards one another. We genuinely love each other so much and just want to see each other win in life. So we agreed like we would never do anything to hurt one another in this like process. And she's adamant that she just needs to go figure herself out. So of course I can't hold you. Like I'm just going to let you go do what you need to do to get through that. While she has told me that she is going to go work on herself because that is what she feels like she needs to do. And she really wants to figure out who she is and lean into that, and is adamant that there is absolutely nothing going on with Kay. My friend's eyes are everywhere. She thinks that she has friends, which she does, but I'm the one who manages the relationships with friends. I'm the one who reminds her of birthday parties. I am the one who reminds her of people's birthdays or anniversaries or whatever. I'm the one who makes dinner plans or plans to go out with people, and I manage our social life in all of these years that we've been together. So I get a screen recording and a message saying, did you know A is with K right now? And I didn't know, but I had anticipated that they would be in the same place because they both work for the same company and they both are together at this art exhibition. So I just said, yes, it is a work thing. As far as I know, she is not talking to her. And then I get a video at dinner. It is already an hour past the time that she said the art exhibition was from. So, of course, going out to dinner after, fine. There are oysters in front of them in this video. And there's other people there, but I had a feeling that she didn't stop talking to her when she had told me that she had stopped talking to her. So earlier in the night, I think that we're in a really good place. So I had sent her a text and I said, I hope you're having fun at the show and you made it safely. I'm so glad that we had that talk. I had a couple of points to follow up on if you get home early enough, but I know we have time and we can always circle back another day. I had just processed a 4-hour conversation and there were just a few things that I wanted to discuss further. And she responded to me and said, the show is actually incredible and I'm blown away. She said, yes, we can follow up on those points. When I tell you this conversation felt so nice and light and I felt better after we had it, I thought we were in such a good place and we were both going to focus on ourselves and hopefully be better human beings for each other. That's what my interpretation of it was. But I had responded to her and I said, I am so happy you went. I sat on that information from my friends of them going to dinner for about an hour. And I checked A's location and I saw she was at Kay's house. So I called her and I said, where are you? And she said, I just dropped Kay off. So I paused and was quiet. I was like, did you kiss her? And she said, yes. I said, did you ever stop talking to her? And she said, no. I was like, that's so shitty. And I hung up and then I texted her and said, I'm going to heal the right way. I know you have some deep-rooted spiritual issues right now, but we just talked about focusing on ourselves and pouring into ourselves right now. I can't control what you do and I won't even try to. Consideration is what we had talked about. But I think the only thing you consider is your impulses. I said, I really want to believe the words that come out of your mouth. I want to believe that you're the person that I thought you were. Otherwise, this all feels like the last 7 years of my life were a lie. You saved my life. Those were words that she said to me. She said, you saved my life. And when we were having that conversation, she looked at me while she was holding me and she was like, you saved me. I wouldn't be the person I am without you. You saved my life. And I fully know that I saved her life. I am leaving a huge part of that story out because it's not my trauma to tell, but I saved her life and this is how she repays me. So I quoted, you saved my life. And then I was like, but you don't even respect me in return. And then I texted back again and said, I texted your boss. I said, just so you have the heads up walking in tomorrow, I'm going to bed. I'd already told her at the very beginning that I was going to tell her boss, but I ended up not doing that because she accepted that other position. And so that got her away from this whole mess. And I sent her a screenshot of a message that I sent to the boss. And that message said, hey, I'm just letting you know that A, cheated on me with K. I had told her I was going to go in and talk to you, but my heart is shattered and I truly don't have the energy. I understand this is an HR issue. Do with it whatever you need. I'm devastated that 7 years is worth sleeping with a coworker. I said, there's the text so you know what was said. At this point, we're still on the phone and she lets me know that she's home. Comes upstairs, gets ready for bed, brushes her teeth, puts on her pajamas, and comes into bed and lays on top of me. I'm like, what are we doing? I'm feeling fed up at this point. And she said, I don't know. And I said, why don't you cut Kay off? Cut her out. Don't let this be a factor. She then tells me that Kay is actually the one who was telling her that she needs to figure her stuff out. And when I asked her to cut it out, she said that she's not willing to do that. So I asked how she felt about me reporting it to her boss, and she told me she's taking the day off of work. That was already her plan before I had even reported it. And she will be having a meeting with her 2 VPs. When I get home, she's sitting in the backyard. So I joined her and asked if we could talk. And she said, honestly, I just need to prep for this meeting with my 2 VPs. Her boss at this point had responded to me and apologized for what had happened. And she said that she's going to connect with A, and they're going to figure out best course of action moving forward. Responded to the boss, and the boss seemed to have no idea that A was going to even be talking to the 2 VPs. But A leaves to take the call from her car and leaves the neighborhood. I see her drive away. There's a couple of hours before I hear or see from her again. So I call her and she ignores the call and says, I'm walking the neighborhood.
When she gets back home, she tells me that the call was fine. We both do our paperwork for filling out our stuff for our therapy, for both our joint therapy, and we were doing respective individual therapy as well. So the evening is pretty normal. We watched a show that was super light and took a nap on the couch together. We cuddled while we were watching the show. I made us soup because neither one of us had eaten, and I just needed something bland that we could actually choke down. We went upstairs and went to bed for the evening, and that evening was a pretty normal evening, normal-ish feeling. We slept in the same bed. I held her through the night, and when I woke up in the morning, I felt like I wanted to reach out to Kay. So I have never gone through this woman's phone. I don't go through phones. I unlock her phone. I send myself Kay's number. I delete the message thread that I had sent the number to myself, and I accidentally stopped sharing her location with Kay. So I'm sure if this is not the first time she's figuring this out, I got on her phone and I saw the message threads with Kay. Interesting. She deleted most of the messages. There was just a couple on there. There's a long message, a photo message, and then I see the words "I'm hurt" coming from Kay, which your 7-year relationship isn't crumbling, so I don't know what you heard about. But this is now Wednesday morning, and when she walked in, she folds over onto me. She's a lot taller than I am, so she just folds over on me and gives me a hug. And I'm just scratching her back and rubbing her back. And I was like, "My baby, how was the other room? Were you comfortable? Was it okay? Was that okay?" She goes, "Mama, I slept so bad." And I was like, "I'm so sorry." And this is when like a flip switched in me. And I was like, "I actually slept great last night." And I said, "I have a message that I have written out to Kay, and consideration is the highest form of love, in my opinion. I am considering you, and I am asking you, would you like to read it before I send it to her?" Her demeanor changed so fast. I could see the mask fall. In that moment, I could see the mask fall. She goes, "You gotta do what you gotta do." I was like, "Okay, I'm considering you, and I'm gonna let you read it if you would like to. You gotta do what you gotta do." I was like, "Okay." While she's standing there and brushing her teeth and getting ready and doing all the things, pull up my phone. Sent it. I had drafted this message the day prior, and I sat on it for a day and a half. I sent it to my friends. I let them read through it. I was like, "Do you think anything is bad in here that I should take out?" And they were like, "Nah, send it, send it, send it." So I sent the message. I walk A downstairs to go to work. I'm kind of trailing behind her because I can tell she doesn't really want my attention at all. And I was like, "Have a good day." And she slams the door and goes. And I was like, "Well, I'm sure you're gonna be hearing from Kay here soon." The message reads, "This is Erin. I would like to have a conversation with you. I don't care when. I don't care where. You obviously know where my house is. I know where you live. I know where you work. I'm not trying to show up and throw you off guard. But if you can, my wife, you can have a conversation with me. You owe me nothing. You aren't the one who promised forever to me. You aren't the one who is still saying I love you with all of my soul every day." She told me she kissed you the other night at our exhibition, and then she came home and slept with me and cried to me. We spent the whole day in bed together, crying and talking about everything under the moon. You may think you know her, but I can promise you don't. She's a severely traumatized individual who has been battered beyond belief. I have so much grace for her because I promised my life to her, and I fully intend on upholding that promise. She said she feels like she is just self-sabotaging right now. This is a pattern for her. I promise, if it weren't you, it would be someone else. This is what she always does when life gets too good, because she's afraid of the rug being ripped out from underneath her. So she controls the chaos however she wants to. This is why I'm not blaming you, but please don't think you're special, because you're just gonna get hurt. Listen to whatever narrative you want to tell yourself, but woman to woman, I'm really fucking disgusted with you. You know she's in a relationship. You don't know the depth of that relationship, and I wouldn't expect you to. I always had a feeling you were a snake lesbian, and that's why I had no interest in associating myself with you. If you cared about A at all, you would stop all of this. We are going to therapy, and she is seeking individual counseling. Having you in the mix does nothing but hurt you and further hurt her. But I honestly don't give a about your feelings. You've been in a situationship for 5 minutes, so I don't expect you to know anything deep about her. But we have a lot of fucking responsibility together. Her stepdad, redacted. Her mom, redacted. And I have a son who A will have custody of. A and I will raise this boy. He is 6'5", combative, nonverbal autistic, and he is my whole world. Her grandpa, also my heart and soul, will probably die in the next couple of years. He's been really sick off and on, and I will be there when he passes. A is hurting so deeply inside because she does not love herself. That is why all of this has transpired, because she has some deep-rooted spiritual issues, and I'm going to be there every step of the way to work through them with her. I'm probably one of the most understanding people you would ever meet. Actually, I wasn't hurt by the cheating. I was hurt by the lying and sneaking around and not coming to me first. I was hurt by the insane amount of love bombing all while she is talking to you. I will save you the hurt and not show you our messages from the day before you hooked up, the day you hooked up, the day after you hooked up. I tried to understand her, and I asked her if she loves you, and her exact words, and I quote, "God, no." She told me last night she is seeking what she is lacking, which is fucking chaos and excitement. To somebody whose entire life was chaos, a healthy life can start to feel boring. Let me know when you would like to meet. I work right next to the place of business. She did respond to me. She said, "Do not contact me again. Mentioning you know where I work/live crosses a line. If this continues, I will take further action." Of course, I get a text from A, not even 20 minutes later, that reads, "Erin, those texts to Kay were not okay. I genuinely feel like you exploited my trauma to gain control of the situation. Kay does not know the depths of my life, so by you leveraging my mom, my stepdad, my grandparents, and my brother, you think you're coming from an angle of being genuine, but all of that was extremely hurtful. I'm still trying to process what you said to give you a more appropriate reaction. I am actively trying to get back to myself, to find my new normal. As I've told you, I have not been me for a very long time. You have now disrupted my social space, my professional space, my emotional well-being, by weaponizing the same traumas that you brought up in our conversation as future responsibilities that you did not want. If you were truly coming from a place of compassion, you would have prioritized creating a sense of normalcy for me, instead of disrupting every environment I have, making it harder for me to feel comfortable throughout this time of vulnerability to work through it. Instead, I feel like you exploited my traumas and made me feel that I have to protect myself from you. I need to sit on this throughout my day to better articulate how I'm feeling right now, but please do not continue involving Kay in this. It is solely between you and I. I respond with, "I wanted you to read the message first, and you were the one who didn't want to hear it. I genuinely was trying to consider you before sending it. You couldn't even be bothered, and all you said was, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm not trying to gain control of the situation. I am hurt, and I don't know who you have painted me to be, but it is clearly not the person that I am. And I never said I did not want those as my responsibilities. I said I have always seen them as my responsibilities, and I am not trying to exploit you. I told you, when I want to set the world on fire, I would turn to you. I slept on it, and I still asked your permission this morning. I understand you are upset with me. This is between you and I will keep it that way. I really was trying to turn inward and see what I was hoping to accomplish by sending that message. My goal was simply to have a dialogue with her. I told her she doesn't owe me anything. I told her she's not the one who made promises to me, but I am now sure you have painted me to be some sort of emotionally checked out half-assed partner who doesn't properly love you, and that is not my truth. I want to know what you expected. You have shattered my heart and my reality as I knew it with the ultimate betrayal. Everyone has trauma. You're a grown woman and you are hurting people. I asked you if I could send a message, and you said that was more of our therapist question. And I was afraid you wouldn't like it, what I wrote in the message, hoping that you would listen to it first. Then I even asked you if I should wait until Thursday. That's when we had therapy. Consideration. I'm trying to consider you. I'm trying not to burn the world down. I am trying to fucking live right now. And can I ask if you are honestly surprised? Like, how exactly am I supposed to move through intense grief in her? How do you expect me to move with love when you shattered my world? Logically, honestly, I would like to know. She responds, her boss asks that you do not come into the location of work to further escalate this situation. I'm being documented. I'm taking ownership of the decisions that I have made. Please don't continue to escalate this. I said, I will need to hear that from boss directly, and I want police involved if that's the case, because I didn't do anything, actually. You cannot tell me that I cannot go to a place where I have a membership that I pay for. Strange, where I work. Okay. She responds, he's not saying you cannot work out at said location. He's saying not to further escalate regarding K at the place of business. The business is handling repercussions with me and figuring out my transition plan. I said, I'll be waiting for his phone call where I can meet him wherever he'd like. I am at home. I'm getting ready to go out. It is the 5th of May, and I know that because I was going out with my friends for like a Cinco de Mayo thing, and they're like, get out of the house and stop crying, basically. And I am ready and headed downstairs when she walks in the door, and she is fighting mad. We don't do shoes in the house. Comes in, shoes on, runs upstairs with her backpack. And I was like, do you want to talk? And she said, I don't have a thing to say to you right now. I said, okay. So I go up to my room where she's grabbing a bunch of stuff. And she was like, you tried to flip my world upside down. I said, your world? I tried to flip your world upside down. How can you say that after what you did to me? And I was like, she's your world? And she goes, that is not what I'm saying. I also think it's important to note that this is the first time we've raised our voices at one another ever. So I've said in previous videos that we don't get in fights. Everyone is taking that as we don't have conversation or difficult conversation. That's not true. We don't have fights. We've never been in a fight before. I've never been angry with her before. So words are flying. She says that I have disrupted her social space. I've disrupted her professional space. She is pissed beyond belief. And she says, I need to get away from you. So she flies downstairs. I follow after her. I'm yelling, talking terrible about Kay. And I say everything that has always been in the back of my mind since I discovered who this girl even was, which now looking back, I'm so glad I always had these opinions of her. I said some very petty things. I said, you wear matching boxer briefs. What did you do? You put her boxers to the side. I was being crazy. And I fully understand how not kind that was. That's not who I am. I was angry in the moment. And if you want to judge me from my lowest point, fine, by all means, judge me. But after she leaves, I take about an hour and text her and said, I want to apologize for raising my voice. I know that makes you feel not safe. And I know that isn't okay. I feel like I'm not being heard, which is extremely difficult considering you have always been my listening ear. Words were flying. I think we were both just at a boiling point. I'm not going to make any excuses. I was wrong and we both tipped. We can talk tomorrow. I think space is good. I hope you get rest. So the next day goes by. She doesn't come home. The following day is Wednesday, May 6th. And she had sent me a text and says, out of courtesy, although you may have already assumed, I won't be on the therapy call tomorrow at 1. I want to give you the opportunity to cancel it if you so choose, but I imagine you'd still attend. I said, why will you not be attending? I think this is a healthy way for us to communicate. You would think after all of this, after all these years of pure love and our deep heartfelt talks over the last week, and us coming to the conclusion that we both messed up in terms of communication, you would at least try to communicate as we close and navigate this next chapter. 2 days ago, you were crying in bed with me telling me I saved your life. We both agreed that for the first time in our lives, we were finally able to breathe. 7 years of a great fucking life. So the next few days, she's just in and out of the house. We don't really speak with one another, but I get so anxious when she's around, and I start, like, my body would get the full shakes to where, like, the next day I wouldn't be able to work out because I was so sore. My body already knew that she wasn't a safe person for me, but still I like wanted her there. The only conversation that we had was taking care of Joey, our dog. And I was like, I just need some touch points. He's on all kinds of medication. He's been sick. And I just need to know that he's getting the medication either from you or I'm giving it to him, or when he's been fed, because there were days where he was getting 2 breakfasts or 2 dinners or whatever. And that's really the extent of the conversation. She had been in and out of the house, and she had asked if we could talk on one night when I was already had plans to go out with one of my friends who was dragging me out of the house. And I told her I didn't know what time I would be home. I got home late in the evening, and she's sitting there on the couch waiting for me. She up and down looks at me like she's disgusted with me. And I said, there's absolutely no way I'm having a conversation with that. So I went upstairs. The following day, we do end up talking. We sat on the couch, and it was a very unproductive conversation. I am sitting there crying, pouring out my heart, and going over all the last points that we've discussed about and gone over for a couple of weeks now. And she's sitting there, arms crossed, hat on, hood up, and she is laughing at me while I cry. I tell her, you should understand better than anyone how traumatizing cheating is. Her ex-wife cheated on her with a man. And I said, unless this is just something that you guys did back and forth to one another and cheated on each other tit for tat. She goes, the only person I ever cheated on ex with was you. Okay. All you know about a person when you first meet them is exactly what they tell you. Her story was, they met in college. They got married in New York. Their relationship was already tumultuous, and I'm not going to get into the details of that, but it was a bad relationship. When I say toxic, I mean it was awful, truly, and I feel for her. It was awful. And she, after getting married, moved with her family to Florida when the new wife moved to California because things were already so bad. She comes to California to be with the wife, and things are just worse when she gets here. So immediately after getting here, she's in the process of leaving. So all I know is this girl, who I met at the gym and became friends with, is in a very toxic relationship with her wife. She is not living with her. She is staying between friends' houses, living out of backpacks, staying out until 2:30 in the morning with our mutual friend. And all I did was throw her a lifeline because she was my friend and I cared about her deeply. And I said, you can come stay with me. We don't kiss for 5 months. I told her, you need to figure your stuff out with your wife. We don't sleep together for 8 months. That's a lesbian lifetime for any straight people who are watching this. She tells me she emotionally cheated on her wife with me, and that was wrong because she was still very much in her space. And I'm like, what did you just do to me? Anyway, I digress. She is angry with me and says, you said that I said I don't love myself. And I said, you don't love yourself, A, because people who love themselves don't do this to other people. And that's what I meant by it's a pattern for her. This is a pattern, and we'll get more into the pattern in another episode. She said, I'm not going to stand for this. I do love myself. I love myself so fucking much. And that's why I'm finally choosing me. And that's where she draws the line. And so she storms upstairs, packs a bag, and leaves again. It is now May 14th, and I am feeling good when A is not in the house. I am through the grief part, and I'm now to the point of anger. The person who I've been seeing inside of my house is not my girl. That's not who I fell in love with. She's scary. I'm actively afraid of being around her. I grew up in a very abusive household, and I'm having the same feelings around her as I used to have around my abusers. But I knew those were bad people, and I did not think she was a bad person, so I realized I need her
away from me. I get a screen recording from one of my friends, and it's TikTok. And I intentionally was staying off of searching social media, searching for things, because then you just spiral and you ruminate and you lose your mind. It is Kay posting, and she is writing messages that are definitely directed at me. Crazy to involve yourself in that. And then she posted on her fitness TikTok, and A is in the background of her video. And I'm like, I need her out. I need her out of my house. I need her out of my space. I have no more grace. I have no more compassion. I have no more love in my heart. This is where I'm drawing a boundary. I gotta get her out. At this point, A is being cruel to me. K is playing in my face, and I want to be done with this. Right after seeing those videos, I texted A and said, are you coming to the house tonight? We need to have a conversation. I don't hear from her. That was Thursday, May 14th. I don't hear from her at all. She texted me on Friday, May 15th and said, I will be home around 4. What would you like to discuss? Also, I'll be coming mainly to grab a ton of clothes. I'm gone all next week and we'll give you the space for the weekend. I think your sister is in town. Earlier that day, I spent hours moving her stuff into the guest room. So all of her clothes are out of my closet. All of her toiletries are out of my bathroom. I put everything very organized and very nice into the guest room and made it a comfortable space for her. And that was true. My sister did come into town. I just picked her up from the airport. I told her that we needed to get home so that I could have a conversation with A. I sent my sister to the pool, and A comes to the house at 4 o'clock and we talked. And it started with, I would like to have a business conversation with you. We can treat this just like it's a business conversation. We don't need to get emotions involved. I would like to discuss finances, care of Joe, and living situation. And she said that she agrees. So I began the conversation. And I say, I don't think we're gonna make it until October. And she said, oh, I thought that we were. And I was like, you keep lying to me. And she looks at me and she goes, I do. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. I don't have hate in my heart. I've never had hate in my heart. And then I listed my users' names. And I said, I don't hate them. I don't feel anything towards them. I said, my ex's name. I was like, I do not hate them. I love them. And then I was like, but you? I think I hate you. And I'm having a really hard time with that because I've never hated anybody before. And then she said, are we going to have a business conversation or are we going to get emotional? And I was like, oh, we're going to do whatever I want to do. I told her that she continues to play in my face, that now it is a level of disrespect that I can't stand for. And I talk her through options of timelines for a meeting.
Whoa, that was a lot. That was a lot. But y'all, we have come to the end of the saga. I've caught you up on the 17 parts of Erin's breakup with her cheating ex-girlfriend who had an affair with her assistant. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions? I know this was a really, really long one. Like I said, here are my overall takeaways. Number one, if somebody fucks you over, the biggest, most powerful thing that you can do, and I know that this is from the outside looking in, I know everybody handles things differently. I know. I believe in my heart of hearts, the biggest, most powerful thing that you can do is walk away. Kelly Clarkson style, just walk away. Like genuinely, that is the most powerful move. Closure is fucking bullshit. It's not real. It's overrated. You don't need somebody to tell you why they fucked you. You know why they fucked you. They don't like you. They don't give a fuck about you. Even though they say all these things, actions speak louder than words, quite literally. So, that would be number one. Number one, walk away. Kelly Clarkson style, let it go. Elsa Anna. And I know you do. Move along. Go on, go on, go on, go on. Yeah, move along. All American Reject style. Like literally that's number one. Number two, I think it's important to always allow people to grow, allow people to make mistakes, to grow from them. However, I will say with this situation, at the beginning of their relationship, okay, there was a piece of information that Erin left out until very towards the end of the story, which is A was previously married. A and Erin got together before the marriage had ended. Not saying that this was cheating. Maybe they were separated. Erin only knows what she knows because of what A told her. But to cut Kay some slack, even though Kay at the end proved to be kind of an asshole and she knew what was going on, whatever. A has always been a bad person. Like A at the beginning of her relationship with you, like she clearly has never ever just been single. You know what I mean? She's like this person who's perpetually in relationships. A, because like after her marriage, she's already getting on with Erin. After her and Erin are even broken up, she's already getting on with Kay. And I'm sure she'll just repeat this cycle until she fucking dies. That's just how these people are. Like, these are perpetual relationship hoppers. They are always on to a rebound. That's why it lasts all these years, but it's never like gonna be good enough because they've never taken time, which I think Erin touches on repeatedly throughout the series, is like, A hates themselves, so they do this to other people. A doesn't know who the fuck they even are. Like that's the bottom line. It's like everybody has to have a moment where it's like you are just alone. You are just doing life alone. You figure out what the fuck you even want. A might not even actually want kids. She just might think that she wants kids because that's what the world tells her she wants, you know? I mean, same with the dog. She didn't take care of the dog. She got the dog. She doesn't take care of the dog. It's like, I think a lot of these people who are shitty at relationships, who are just inherently bad people, who blow up their lives, who make all these mistakes, is literally because like they don't even know who they are. They don't even know what the fuck that they even want out of life. So they just do what society deems that they should do. But then their actions don't replicate the things that they say that they want because like they don't even know what it is that they want, you know? So like my other piece of advice is like, just take a moment to be single, you know? Just take a moment to be single and like heal yourself and figure out what it even is that you want, you know? So like, I don't know, wishing Erin the best. Like I'm begging that she doesn't get back with this person. Like, Jesus Christ, like please girl, stay strong. Get out of this woman's life, like for real. We'll see some of the negative impacts that have happened because of this. The internet just does what the internet does, and A and K's identities have been found out, so that's really shitty. I mean, I know that Erin like probably meant well, but like she had videos of A on her profile, so it's like not that hard to figure out who you're talking about. So a little bit messy on that end, I will say, Erin, which like, girl, to each their own. Like, do what you got to do. But I will say the internet is scary, and I don't think doxing is ever a good thing to do. I don't think you should ever like out people or like expose their identities. And not that Erin did, but like people on the internet put two and two together very fast. Because like you don't know, like, you know, yeah, they're bad people, but that doesn't mean that they deserve the whole internet to know everything about them and like to be like completely like judgy towards their life. Because it's like, yes, cheating is terrible. It's a really bad, fucked up thing. And you should never do it. But like, it's not a crime. It's not like these people like killed people or like robbed a bunch of people or like assaulted anybody. It's like, yes, it's really fucked up. Yes, they should have never done it. But also, like, I feel like everybody still deserves privacy and whatever. So, I don't know. If you're one of those people, which I know nobody in my community would ever do any of that. But if I don't know, just not a nice thing to do. You shouldn't be, like, digging into, like, hear the story, get entertainment from it, whatever, commentate on it. But, like, don't dig up the information on these people, like their real names and their real whatever. Like that's just fucked. So I will say that's been a very big negative part about this, is like the doxing of these people is like fucking ridiculous, but the internet is just horrible. So yeah, anyways, what did you guys think of the story? If you didn't hear about it, what do you think now? It's a lot, I know. Take a moment, take it in. Michaela is iconic in that, and all of her little things. She's just a very, wow, she is an enigma. And I, as much as I just hate her content, I fucking can't get enough of it. She's really, really achieved that. And this video wasn't about her, but she doesn't ever escape my mind these days. Anyways, love you guys so much. Sorry this was a long one, but I knew it was going to be a while because she's a yappa just like me. Anyways, I love you, and I will see you in next week's club meeting. Bye.
The Girls Club, 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 the Girls Club. It's my club and I'm a girl, yeah.